Back in 2011, the Indianapolis 500 came down to the final corner of the final lap, and we all know the story. J.R. Hildebrand pushing up high as he tried to work himself past that number 83 machine of Charlie Kimball. Stuttering slow, hits the wall. Dan Weldon wins the race. Today, we've got the classic INDYCAR series replicating the 2011 season, and in just a few moments' time here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live, they will take on that challenge of doing 500 miles. That is 200 laps, 800 corners in the pursuit of sim racing immortality. Welcome to Sunday evening here on RaceSpotTV, and our coverage will start next.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, watch him, watch him. Damn it! Oh! Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez!
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, sexy. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Room behind you. Control. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
INDYCAR. The in and out lap. What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. Hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon INDYCAR Series. See what's next.
Welcome to the corner of 16th Street and Georgetown. Welcome to the Cathedral of Speed, known as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where today, the logical, innovative engineering classic INDYCAR series takes on the big one, the Indianapolis 500. We are here. We're live on RaceSpotTV. Wolverton, Cisco Scaramuza, and Randy Cheneth, Cisco. 3 weeks, 3 Indies. This is number 2, but this one's a little bit different. It's in the older style IR05 machine that retired at the end of 2011.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Will. This car brings with it a different set of challenges, and Randy will touch on that in a little bit. But it's really nice to see the IR05 back on track here. We love seeing it on track, and it's going to put on a great race. These guys are going to have a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, they are currently just doing some practice start stuff right now, Randy. as well. It's simple. Complete the race in first place, and well, you've just won one of the biggest sim racing events of your career.
Yeah, it's just simple. I mean, it is just as easy as that, isn't it? Just get out there, get in front, and just win the race. Easy as pie.
Well, yeah, there's only just 32 other drivers trying to do exactly the same thing, you know.
Yeah, and you're only going like 200 plus miles an hour into one, potentially side by side, 3 wide at the start of the race. This is rookie stuff right here.
As we're going to show you the weather then. 74 degrees air temperature here today, 46% relative humidity. The bit that gets me a little bit worried, Cisco, is when you have a look at the wind speed. That one right there, 18 kilometer an hour wind. That can make life very hairy for some of these drivers.
Yeah, and it's similar to what we had just 1 week ago, kind of those higher winds, you know, for that at Imperial is about 10 miles per hour, and it's a northwest wind going right now, Will. So a lot of headwind these guys are going to have going down the long straightaways here. It can play havoc with the draft. It can play havoc with how these cars are going to get through the corner, and of course the dreaded aero push that everyone loves to bring up, very important. And these guys are going to have to watch out for that dirty air here on track.
Yeah, and the racing's going to be slightly different here today to what we saw a week ago, Randy, because of the fact that this older style car wasn't designed as much for that kind of high speed slipstreaming that we see quite often in the DW12.
Yeah, it's going to be a completely different kind of race. You know, it's always weird comparing the two cars because some of the challenges are very, very similar. Some of the challenges are very, very different. This car, I always felt, didn't handle quite as well, but was a little bit better in that dirty air. That's not to say that it was good, but, you know, you still have some of the same adjustments. You still have the same roll bar and weight jacker adjustments, which we will make fun of talking about during the race, I'm sure, at some point. But, I mean, yeah, it's a different car, but at the same point, it's an open-wheel American-style car at the most American open wheel track in the United States.
Indeed, then the drivers are about to head themselves down to the starting grid, and that means one thing: it's time to welcome our friend Mr. Jim Neighbors back home again in Indiana.
Back home again. It seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new moon hay sends all its fragrance through the fields I used to. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana
home. Well, then, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to welcome the 33 drivers who will be participating in this classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500. And starting from the rear, row number 11, you have got yourselves 3 drivers. They are Vickery, Shoemake, and Diggs. And of that, Diggs was going to be at the rear of the field due to a time penalty. Cisco.
Row number 10, Thurlow, Saunders, and Passeri. They're going to make that first row there, or that second row, rather, from the back of the field. Randy, who's on row number 9?
In row number 9, we have Jack Turner, Sam Winton, Satan Bombers batch. Let's see what they can do from the top 27 here over this 500-mile event.
Ahead of them, you've got yourself Tim Miller and John Paquin, your fastest 2 drivers on bump day here. And then behind them, you have got yourself, well, the driver of pain, in P number 24 on the inside of row number 8, Cisco.
Now it's Hunderhenge, Vanderven, and Carson Broadway. They're going to make up row number 7 here. And all those guys, yellow, they were good to go, but they had to make their way in on bump day as well.
Row number 6 here today at Indianapolis on Mother's Day. Luis Zambili, Andy Morgan, and Johnny Garrett.
And ahead of them in row number 5, you've got on the inside Dennis Garisi. In the middle, you've got the driver of Andrew Aitken, and Byrne on the outside, Cisco.
And then the row in front of them, TM Hauser, and then John Elmswire, and of course, Michael Gerlicka. That's going to make up row number 4.
Now getting into thick of it, the top 3 rows at Indianapolis. Row number 3, Robert Grosser, Michelle Constantini, and Dale Stanley.
And then in front of them, row number 2, you have got yourself the driver of Bennett there. Henry Bennett will be on the inside, Pitcairn on the middle, and Sherlacher on the outside. And who, Cisco's at the front?
On the front, on the outside, Lucas Laville. In the middle, we see Vima there. He ran a 40.751. And then on the inside, Timo Isanyemi. He has got the inside row for the starting position, first starting position for the Indy 500.
And they now begin that journey of working themselves free wide and getting ready for the starts here. They will be racing, not this time by, but the next time by, as they are just working themselves then behind the special pace car for today. So they're going to have one more lap at pacing speed to bunch this one up together, Andy, and then we're going to go racing for 200 laps.
And I just can't wait. This is going to be so much fun to watch. I've never competed in this league, but I competed back in the ISOWC, one of those Indy 500s, and I know what it feels like to go 2 slow laps, getting the field formed up 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 here at Indianapolis, and then I know what it is to start here. It's a bit of a different it's different for drivers who haven't done it, and it's always different knowing you have a driver both to your outside and potentially your inside, or you have 2 on either direction. This is going to be a big start for a lot of these guys, and I think a lot of people might be taken out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, indeed. There they are then. The pace car will be in this time by. There is the front of your field. We cycle on back. You see, we've got, for the majority of it, some good formation. That's going to tighten up as they work on to the back straight away. You'll see now they'll get themselves slowly into position, 3 by 3, to start this, the classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500. Well, your front 2 rows are really nicely paced, but then there's a bit of a gap. Row 3 and 4 do need to close it in a little bit, but we are likely going to see the green flag waving this time by to get ourselves underway. Timo Isanyemi then has the point, but it's the driver on the outside line of that front row, Lucas Laville, who has won the first 3 races of this season on road courses. Now on an oval, it's a very different story, but Laville, of course, driving these famous Target Chip Ganassi cars, pace car on towards pit road. Let's get the classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500 underway. Everyone through 1, everyone through 2. Now it's about getting yourself a position, Cisco.
Yeah, absolutely. The field single file for this first group. You see the 6 Lotus of Stefan Sherlacher. He's looking to see if he can get a little bit of draft off that Ganassi machine right here. He's going to jump to the inside, and they're going to go side by side. Folks, they made it through lap 1.
Yeah, there we are then. Sherlacher to the point as we work ourselves through lap number 2, but you can hear then having to get off the noisy pedal and turn number 1, Randy. Those wind speeds, they will come into play, especially if you end up running in dirty air.
That northwesterly 9 mile an hour wind will, if you're walking down the street, it may not feel like much, but when you're going into these corners at 220 miles an hour plus, it can really push the car around. It's actually a leader, Stefan Schlacker, very close to the wall. I think may have given it a scrape coming off of corner number 3, but he is still, regardless, able to stretch a gap over Isinemi and LaVille here in the opening stages. He's the first one we see stretch a gap. Lead now out to 3.5 tenths.
Yeah, live timing and scoring is now available, ladies and gentlemen. Just visit RaceSpot.tv/timings. We're having a look through your field. We have got all 32. All 33 drivers are actually running at the rear of the field. Ronnie Passeri had made a pit stop at the end of lap number 1, but they are all circulating on track right now. Sherlacher leads the way, as it seems right now, from Timo Isinemi. He got the lead at the end of lap number 1, and he's got himself actually a nice 4/10 of a second advantage. And this is what I meant, Cisco. The style of racing is going to be a little bit different to what we saw last week. That DW12 is almost designed to create high adrenaline racing at Indianapolis. Here in the old IRO5 machine, it'll be tracks more like Texas and Chicagoland, where you'd often see the big moves. But here we come then. Isinemi back down to the inside. 2x2 they'll go in towards 3.
And look at the run that the 22 got going down the back straightaway. That's the Justin Wilson schemed machine of Vima there. Maurice Vima in the 22 got a great run going down the backstretch. Out of 4 right now. Now he's hooked on to the lead.
That's Sherlacher spun it. And he keeps the track green for the moment. He has got damage. If he can get on towards pit road, we are going to stay green. But Sherlacher there, Andy, what a way to throw the race away just 5 laps in.
Well, I was actually going to say at 1.2 because the reason he lost the lead was going through 1 and 2. I think he's that car set up I think he has that car trimmed out, not generating a whole bunch of downforce. Made a mistake into 1, and here in the IRO5, a lot of the mistakes you make always felt bigger to me than they do in the DW12 when it comes to aero. He got a big set of push. I think that car still trimmed out. Back end snaps around and forward, and you said it best. What a way to throw the race away in the opening stages. As he's coming back out onto the racing surface, gets a big wiggle through 1. He's going to come out in the middle of all this traffic, though.
Yeah, he is. Robert Grosser, number 1 machine, currently right himself in the 6th position. He has got the driver of Hans Pitkanen ahead of him in the number 8 machine. That is very slow for Schlacker. He's going to be careful here as he works himself back out onto track. Looks like he should have got the damage repaired to that car. Passeri taking the warm-up lane there to allow everyone to go past this guy.
Yeah, now to the inside, it's going to go Maurice Vima there for the lead. They head towards turn 1. Z-line to the front. It's Vima. He's got the position.
Yeah, it is that number 22 yellow.
This is off of 4, car upside down. This is Johnny Garrett. The other Lotus in the field.
Well, there we are then. We've also got the number 99 Herbalife car involved in that incident. So it looks like it's a 2-3 car incident. Let's have a look as they come in towards turn number 3 and 4. Right on board for the moment then with that driver of Jonathan Diggs. And yeah, there you can see, oh my word, the number 83 machine there involved in that one as well. They all started, Randy, with that Lotus car though.
Yeah, that 82 machine, just he had the left 2 tires underneath the white painted line, which was, that's fine and dandy. And then I think he just got a little bit loose. He was able to hold on to it, but the left side tires got onto the curb, and that really upset the back end of that number 82 machine. It brought it around, and well, from there, he was just a passenger. And that was a couple of big hits as he went flying down the front straightaway.
Right then, we've got ourselves 7 laps of this race called complete. We're going to step aside for a moment here on RaceSpotTV. But we'll be back with more after these messages.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. All right. Watch him. Damn it! Get ready. Dude, pull heads up in that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that Eagle even I. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Tell. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
INDYCAR.
He hit an outlap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, outside.
2017 Verizon INDYCAR Series. See what's next.
Pit road open. A couple of drivers are on pit road. John Paquin, number 6 machine, is one of them. As you've also got yourself Jos van der Ven, James Payne, Carsten Bodaway on pit road. Winner of those drivers off pit road, well, it's going to be very close here. Caden Bummersbach is the first driver past the line. Then you have got yourself, well, it's not showing up anyone others, but it's Andy Morgan, Patrick Bryan, John Paquin, Lewis Ambelli, Carsten Bodaway, and Jaden Thurdo are your fastest drivers off of pit road there, Cisco.
Yeah, and this caution allowed the field to get slowed down. Also allowed some of those guys on that 3-wide start there. We talked about how the grid wasn't as put together as what those drivers wanted. Going to be a little bit easier here, but of course, CIS means it's going to be, the field's going to be a little bit different coming to the restart, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also worth noting, actually, back in 2011, I remember they waived off the start for the Indy 500 because of that spacing issue. Then they tried it again. It still wasn't good, but there's like, you know what, we're not just going to go drive round and round in circles and get you 3 wide, rounded rectangles, of course. They ended up just letting them go. But single file restarts here, as was the case in 2011. As you'll see now, that pace car has still got the lights on top of it. So it's going to be 1 lap until we go back to green flag racing here this afternoon. There are your top 8 then, down along the bottom of your screen. Morris Wilmer then leading the way from Timo Riccignami, Lucas Avil 3rd, Henry Bennett in 4th, Hans Pitkanen in 5th, Robert Grosser in 6th, Tim Hauser and Michelle Costanini there in P number 8. With the drivers who have pitted, we've had about a third or so of the field come on towards pit road. The reason why they do that more than anything else, Randy, just top up and fuel and keep that strategy number working for them.
Exactly. It's one of those situations where if you're not up near the front and, you know, if you're in a position where you feel that you can regain some spots, get back to where you were, might as well come down, get some fresh tires, get some fresh fuel. A lot of times, even that extra little bit of fuel can be huge. Just ask Bradley Walters 1 week ago.
Yep. Ask Bradley Walters. Ask Alexander Rossi, of course, last year. Ask so many. In fact, ask Dan Weldon. You know,
ask Andrew Kinsella.
Yeah, Dan Weldon, the only reason why he was in a situation where he could actually win that race was because his team was so good on fuel on that final stint. That number 98 machine, of course, that ran in the 2011 Indianapolis 500. Not represented here today, however, unfortunately. Want to very quickly talk about that driver of John Paquin. He was easily going to be the fastest driver in qualifying, but some difficulties meant that he wasn't able to take pole position, had to then work himself into the field on bump day. Started as the fastest driver to work through bump day, Cisco. Now in P number 18, be very interesting to see what that P1 racing driver in that number 6 Penske car can do.
Yeah, he's got a lot of ground to have to make up here, Will, and we're coming to get the 1 to go signal. No, actually, yeah, we are coming to get the 1 to go signal here, Will, but like you said, he started in the back. We know that 6 car is going to be fast, but the problem is he has to fight through so much dirty air, through so many cars to get back up to the front of this field. That's a very tall order for that Penske truck rental Honda right there.
Yeah, as you'll see now, those lights are off on top of the iRacing first pace car. And I was wrong. 2011, it was double file restarts. I do make the occasional mistake here once in a while, but that means we're going to go 2 wide racing then for the restart restart zone is basically from the attenuator, Randy, all the way down to the start-finish line. That's a lot of wiggle room for the race leader to play with.
Yeah, it's a lot more than at a lot of other racetracks, isn't it? You know, compared to the regular cookie cutters and even some short tracks that these guys might run. It is a bit of, you know, it is quite a ways. And one of the other things, well, we didn't really talk about it with this car, well, at least not yet. You know, I always found starts in this car a lot more tricky than I do in the DW12. The DW12 always feels like it has a lot more rear end traction, a lot more torque. You know, it's just easier to get on the throttle pedal without, you know, kicking that back end around unless the weather settings are really, really wonky. Going to be interesting to see which of these guys are going to be really good on these restarts today.
Yeah, and a lot of that came down also to things like gear stacks, for example. The DW12 seemed to always have a light first gear, which meant that if you tried to put the foot down in that first, it always would make it hard to keep control. But we're coming back then to the restart here after 10 laps being scored complete in this event. 190 laps are remaining. Pace car is going to pull on towards pit road. Let's live the restart on board with your current race leader, that is Maurice Wimlia. That was not a good restart there by your race leader at all. And that means the field's going to bunch up in towards turn number 1. Timo Isinyemi will move to the race lead, Randy.
He might have some trouble here, Will. I'm not sure what the rules in the league say, but I think Timo beat Maurice to the line, and if that's the case, Timo might be in for an in-sim black flag. Not going to depend a lot on what this the league here has set up rules-wise and for live admin.
Yeah, indeed so, as we now go on board with the driver of Michael Gerlicher. He's having a battle with Randy Shoemaker right now. This is for 13th place on track. As we get that ticker rocking again along the top of your screen. But Isinyemi leads this motor race. But what that restart did, it really bunts everyone back up together. And now, dirty air is going to be our biggest consideration, Cisco.
Yeah, it was, and TM Hauser was all over the place. He was going side by side with Pitikanen as well, and they were able to sort it out, but they were not very happy. But we talk about the battles going on. That lead is dramatically closed up. Vima closing in on Isinyemi here. This is going to be a battle before too long.
It is going to be, certainly, as we've been riding on board there with TM Hauser. Behind, you've got yourself Dale Stanley going side by side right now with Dennis Gariz in battle for P9 on track. As there is Dale Stanley as they'll circulate through turn number 1, turn number 2 once again. And Stanley there in that number 38 machine isn't able to get the position. Just to give you an update, by the way, all drivers are still running in this event as we've got ourselves behind Dennis Gariz now versus Michele Constantini. That is going on for P8 as Gariz in the number 99, which is, of course, the Target Chip Ganassi car, alongside, no, can't actually get the speed in towards turn number 1 there, Cisco.
Yeah, and I saw something similar up with the leaders. It looks like these guys laying back on the throttle earlier on. They want to make sure they have a colossal run before they try and pull out and try and pass here, just because of how strong that wind is. I wonder if they just can't get enough speed to the ground here. He's going to try it now. Gariz to the inside of Constantini. He's going to jump to the inside. He's got that position. The 66 Benzoil machine going to go way up the track. He'll surrender that position to the Target machine.
Yep, there is then Constantini losing that 8th position for the time being. And well, we generally talk about Randy turn number 1 being the better place to overtake, but with the wind the way it is, maybe because turn 1's too tight here, getting that rotation into turn number 3 is seeming to be the better idea for drivers.
that could certainly be a consideration a lot of these guys are really thinking about when trying to make their moves. If that car doesn't feel hooked up to them, even when they're just running single file, really no point in going and making a double file trying to make a move for, say 7th, 8th out there on the racetrack, something that's relatively inconsequential right now. The other thing, Will, I think a lot of people are just running the car not as trimmed out as they could be and will be later on in the run. A lot of people probably have a little bit more aero slammed onto these machines for the early runnings of the race, knowing the field's going to be packed up, knowing there's going to be a ton of aero push, knowing there's going to be a ton of traffic. They're not really worried about picking up spots now. Might trim that car out, say 120, 130 laps into this event.
Yeah, we saw Niels in the number 24 car losing 2 positions. He's about to lose a 3rd one by the looks of it. That's going to be to John Elmsheimer in the number 88 car. And you just see how much they drop back in 1 lap as well. That is the consequence of sometimes running up high. Strategy can well be key here as we now go on board with John Paquin, number 13 machine. If there's anyone we talk about taking aero off at the end of this motor race, we'll be talking about John Paquin later, getting way out the throttle in towards 1 Cisco.
Yeah, it was, we were on board there, and it was a hornet's nest right in front of him. Shoemake jumped to the inside of Stanley there in that 38. They were able to hold on to it. Now Gerlicka is going to have a huge run coming off turn 2, going to jump to the inside of the Service Central Honda right there. And Paquin just along for the ride. He's just a spectator at this point. He's going to watch those 2 battle. Now going to jump to the inside of the 38. He's got the pass done in 3.
He is using Gerlicka as the hot knife through butter, Randy. That's the 2nd time he's done that today.
That's one of the quintessential things you need to learn how to do when racing open wheel Indy cars here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, knowing when the drivers in front of you are going to make moves, being able to follow them, being able to stick in that dirty air, just being able to know how to read the traffic like that. That is basically, in my opinion, the way of knowing how to get your way through a field here at Indianapolis. And now Paquin set his sights on Gerlicka, and is he going to make the move? Again, no. He's going to be conservative for now.
Team Racing Yami versus Morris Wimdia there at the front of your field, separated by 15/100ths of a second. As we look then from the rear of Isinyemi, Murray's doing the same thing a lot of people are doing today, not making the move in towards turn number 1, just staying in that draft. But even if you do stay in the draft, what you got to do is be careful, release the throttle at the right time. Otherwise, you're still going to have all of that dirty air in towards that first corner, turn number 1. Now we have a look, and again Maurice is just happy to stay behind. Hashtag fuel save Cisco.
That's what I was thinking. I figured at this point he's just going on a strategy-wise, saving a little bit of fuel here. I would assume Laville's going to do the same thing. And then Henry Bennett, he's close enough that he can sniff draft if he really wants to, but all these guys not really wanting to make this a side-by-side race. Vima, I think, content to just sit behind, like you said, fuel save and start working on that fuel number that is going to be so crucial to these guys today.
Lucas Laville has won every race of this series so far. He runs himself in that 3rd place as 20 laps that he scored complete this time by. We've had 1 caution for 5 laps so far today. The rest of it has been green here. And in terms of that, Randy, it means that pit stops will be roughly about 36 laps into this event now.
Yeah, so it's it's quickly coming for these guys. It has to be something that's in the back of their mind, especially when you're thinking about aero. When do these guys say, you know what, I'm going to start trimming the car out now. I want to get out to the front. But right now, I think it's just everyone's almost overthinking it, I think. They're saving gas if they can, saving, just doing a little bit of fuel save if they can, save the tires if they can, don't push themselves too hard, don't make a mistake. Right now, this is really the calm before the storm. You have about 100 or so laps before that storm hits. Keeping an eye on John Paquin, I think he's one of the guys who's doing some fuel saving right now. I think he could easily get himself around Gerlicka and Shoemake, but he's just sitting in that 12th spot, knowing that he's going to be well within striking distance of the rest of these guys out in front.
Yeah, and one of the things we are going to finally talk about it, Randy, that these drivers will have to use over the course of a fuel run is the anti-roll bars and the weight jacket. We're going to circle it then on John Paquin's car. They are levers basically just about there in the car, and of course what the weight jacket does is it raises and lowers right rear of the car. Add weight jacket, in layman's terms, will make the car looser, decreased weight jacket will make the car tighter. And as you go through working in dirty air, you're going to want to raise that weight jacket, but also sometimes play with the anti-roll bars. If the front end is, not giving you enough that you want to have, enough grip even, add a little bit of front anti-roll bar. If the rear is sliding on you, same with the rear.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic thing for all these guys because it means you can fine-tune how your car feels. If you're struggling on getting some rotation in the dirty air, maybe you can loosen that car up just a little bit and help make it stick. But be careful, a lot of times if you do that, you have to be very mindful to make sure you get that adjustment redialed out when you get to clean air. One of the other things, Will, that I've had issues with in the past is the lead starting to heat up between Ice and Emmy and Maurice. Maurice goes down to the inside, and now that number 22 machine back to the race lead, Will.
It is indeed. We just saw it then as all of these drivers are working themselves towards the end of their first fuel run. There is that driver, Timo Issiniemi, down into second place. Maurice there made the pass in towards turn 3, Cisco.
Yeah, and Vima did a great job. He got a really good run on Issiniemi. Issiniemi kind of got out a little bit too far in front of the pack, and Vima was able to just draft up to the back gearbox of that number 30 machine and passed him like he was standing still. So Vima back out front in the Justin Wilson inspired car, and caution is going to be out.
Yep, second caution of the day. That is going to be the driver of Tyler Vickery then. This looks like it's going to be our first turn 1 incident of the day. Working alongside the 59 car, just comes down on him, then up into the wall. That number 20 Fuzzy's machine, hard into the turn 1 barrier. Simple as that. He came down too much there, Cisco.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about turn 1 a lot today because you come in that corner so quickly. We said it was one of the better passing zones, and for the 20, I mean, the 59 did come off the groove a little bit, but not as dramatically. That I don't think the 20 maybe just wasn't expecting to come up that high or was thinking he was going to give him room, but either way, just unfortunate for the Scott Speed inspired number 20. That's a big accident. He's trying to crab it down to pit road, but that car very worse for wear right now.
And that means pit road will be open this coming time by. We do expect everyone on pit road. Second caution at the 25 lap mark, Randy.
Yeah, this is definitely a point where everyone's going to come down pit road, get some fuel, get some tires, and from then on, it's you don't want to Bradley Walters yourself. I think at this point, I think this has to be you come down and get gas.
Yeah, there we are. As we now see that pit road should be open now, and everyone's going to work themselves down it. For the drivers that came in on that first caution, they will probably take 2 seconds worth of fuel less. So expect those guys to jump up maybe 3 or 4 positions here, Cisco.
Yeah, and if they could, that track position is going to be so key for these guys, but you see the drivers hit their boxes right now. Issiniemi now going to slide in. Vima, a little bit of an advantage there, but yeah, that if they don't have to take that extra fuel, they're going to leave just a little bit early. Vima going to lead everybody off pit road, and it looks like a 3-way battle, and it's going to be Bennett. He's going to leave second car off pit road.
Yeah, Bennett up 2 places. We then also have ourselves Randy Shoemake up 2 places. Luis and Bailey up 4 places there. So some of those drivers were able to make that fuel work for them on that first caution. We're going to step aside for a moment here on RaceSpotTV. Back with more after this.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, INDYCAR, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
What happened?
If 2 Indy 500s isn't enough for you, well, don't worry. In 6 days' time, it is the greatest spectacle in sim racing, the 8th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500, and it's here live on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live, 8:15 p.m. GMT. No driver has ever won the iRacing Indy 500 top split more than once. That race has never finished under yellow. A lot to live up to. Martin Cronkite may well be running. We also saw Ray Alfaro, of course. He was 4th place last year until the final lap of the event. One of these guys, you never know, they could be winning out big time today and also in 6 days' time, because no one does Indy better than RaceSpot. And Henry Bennett there, Cisco, used that first pit perfectly to his advantage. He now leads this motor race.
Yeah, absolutely, Will. He was able to get out front of these guys, and with looks like Easton Yamey surrendering that position, he's going to be your leader off pit road, Will, like you said. And talk about a guy who was kind of running in the mid-pack, just kind of hanging out. Well, he's going to lead this thing back to the line. Little bit different of a strategy, though. I'm curious to see what the 41's going to do. Is he going to continue to try and fuel save, or does he want to go out and just lead some laps?
Well, I'm also thinking, what an interesting thing, seeing an orange IndyCar front of the field here, Randy.
Hashtag Alonso?
Yeah, hashtag Alonso. You know, interesting thing's going to be, if Alonso does actually win the Indy 500, it'll be the first time they can't actually put the car in the Hall of Fame, because Alonso's basically said, I'm keeping that car after the event. Number 41 machine then is going to pull that field back to green. Lights are off on top of the iRacing first safety car. And we're going to go back to green flag racing. Double file then. We saw a very bunched up start here on the last restart. Henry Bennett, as we say, has everywhere from the attenuator down to the yard of bricks to make his move. We're right on board of him. Rotegi Racing, number 56 machine, to the left of him. That is TM Hauser. Lucas Ville, Team Racing Yamey in row number 2. Waiting, green flag, go. Henry Bennett again, a driver from pole, a little bit slow on that restart, but he does get up the gears quickly, and that will keep him that race lead, Cisco.
Yeah, and it looked like he hooked up just a little bit better than what we saw in the last restart. A little bit of a shake out of the rear tires, but for the most part, Bennett on the loud pedal off of turn 2. Very good start for him. And Yemi, meanwhile, dropping back, and it's going to be side by side with him and Laville, and then Garisi right behind those guys is going to make up a position on Robert Grosser.
Yeah, as you see your field as they storm themselves in towards turn number 4. Good thing to note so far, Randy, we've not had a caution on the first lap after green.
No, we haven't. These guys, when they're, all packed up after coming from the restart, they're being very wise with one another, giving each other some good space. We do have a slow car coming back down on a pit lane. This is Stefan Schlacker. Saw him gets into some issues earlier on in the race. Seems that his troubles have continued here today on lap number 30.
Yeah, and that's going to put him out of this event in that number 5 Lotus machine. Of course, Lotus had such a bad run in 2012 when they became an engine supplier. They were literally laughed out of INDYCAR with that horrifically bad Lotus engine. But they did actually win a race in 2011. That was with Tony Kanaan. John Paquin now up into the top 10, running in 9th place in that number 6 machine. As ahead, Yemi, Dennis Garisi, side by side, turn number 1. Winner of that one is Garisi, Cisco.
Yeah, and Garisi now going to come through turns 2, and someone was asking in the comment section, well, what's the top speed of these guys? Well, Garisi coming into turn 1 was doing about a 230, and they're going to try and get that. Looking at Laville right now, actually, we're going to be on board John Paquin, and let's see what kind of top speed he can get going down towards the yard of bricks.
Yep, let's have a look then on board with him. He has got a draft.
TM Hauser has the lead.
TM Hauser has the lead then. He's just overtaking Lucas Laville as John Paquin, 229 miles an hour is what he gets. As there is a look at TM Hauser going to the race lead, working himself then past Henry Bennett through turn number 4. Bennett then on the outside line loses a 2nd place, Randy, to Lucas Laville.
Yeah, he lost 2 spots there in those first couple corners, just didn't get turn 3 hooked up right, and from there he basically just got freight trained back to 2nd place, and now Dennis Garisi all over the back of him. Dennis has been quick on this restart. I think that 41 machine is about to drop another spot going into 1.
There is Dennis Garisi right behind him, looking down to the inside, but no, will stay where he is just for a moment. Bennett will retain that 3rd place. Did push off the racetrack. You could just hear the RPM going down through turn number 1. He is scrubbing a lot of speed through the corners, and that's going to make life easier now for Garisi on the back straightaway. Down to the inside, number 9 machine, up into P number 3.
And we talk about these big runs, Will, that these guys are getting. You look at the miles per hour, though, it's maybe 1 mile an hour difference, but that's all it takes. These guys going so quickly that 1 mile an hour, it'll get you past those guys. I mean, I forget, what's the football field distance for these guys? Isn't it a football field every second? Yeah.
This isn't ABC, you know. We don't always do bad coverage. As Henry Bennett now down to P number 6, as Robert Grosser worked himself past as well. So Bennett then, the gamble didn't pay off for him. And it doesn't seem to be that car works very well in dirty air. Another driver whose car doesn't work in dirty air, Randy.
And that's really, in my opinion, the big way for you to be competitive here in IndyCar. It's not how you work in clean air. It's not how quick you are out in front. It's how does your car work in dirty air like this. We saw it several times last week, Will, in the Indy 500 we did last week. Saw several drivers get themselves out front, and they were really, really quick. They got shuffled back on a restart, or they got just pushed a little bit, made a mistake, lost some spots, and then they just fell like a rock. Christopher Peters was one from last week who's an example. Also Marco Aurelio Brazil, he was very quick, got himself in the pack, then had some troubles. These cars never were as bad in the dirty air, I feel, the DW12, but you still have to be able to make that car work. Have to really have, to a certain extent, you have to drive with a lot more aero from lap number 1 to lap number 125 than you have to do from then to the end of the race. Big aero adjustments should be coming for all these guys after the halfway point.
Yep, as Paquin's now up into the 7th position. Here's a look then at your movers in this field here today, and you will now see that Paquin isn't actually your biggest mover, because Randy Shoemaker's TM Hauser is up 10 places. He's leading the way, taking what I like to call the defensive line into turn 3, Cisco.
Yeah, doing a great job is that driver, and wow, it's a little bit of a goofy battle up with Luis Zambelli also as well for that 11th position, the 23. Those guys were going at it, and a little bit of fun for those guys. The 23 going into turn 3 basically cut across the nose of Tim Miller in the number 2, and Miller had to get way out of the gas pedal there. So a little bit of a close battle. Suddenly that gap is opened up, but for those guys going into turn 3, that was a little bit close, and no problems for the 23 Zambelli, just as I say him.
Yep, and let's keep an eye out. It looks as though that he is going to be out of this event. Well, we're having a look at a replay of him. We might as well stick it on this replay then just a little bit more and show you what happened. This is going to be down, Cisco, in towards turn number 1 or 2. Yeah, turn number 1. Hello, turn 1, my old friend.
Yep, that's 2. Can we get a counter going? That's 2 so far.
I've hit the wall on exit again.
Yeah. Oh, so, okay, that's the situation we're in right now then. TM Hauser leads away, biggest lead of the day, breaking the draft for the first time today, as the gap is up now to almost 1 second here, Randy.
Yeah, it is. TM Hauser, he's the first driver we've seen today, Will, be able to get himself out front and be able to stretch a gap over everyone else in the field. And interesting to note, you do have the 2 target Chip Ganassi cars of Lucas Laville and Dennis Garis running 2-3. Maybe those guys saving a bit of fuel, but TM Hauser deciding that this is the time he wants to go, stretch a gap, and lead a big chunk of this motor race.
Shoemake versus Henry Bennett, that's going on for P7. Although, Shoemake, that car doesn't seem to want to turn well into towards turn 2, Randy. Really pushing up the racetrack.
It definitely seems to be. There's a handful of these guys right around 7th, 8th, 9th out there that just, they don't seem to be hooking up quite well in the dirty air. That said, Shoemake started 33rd, currently runs 8th, up 25 spots. I'm not going to say that car is not working well, because that is a big gain to happen in the first 40 laps of your motor race.
It is. As behind Tim Miller versus Michael Gielinker, that is the one going on for the 11th place on track. Well, that's the thing here. We do get Cisco battles going on all the way through your field. We've got, for example, P20, P21, Jos van der Raan versus James Payne. That one's going on as a battle.
And just ahead of him, Dale Stanley is all over the place going in turn 2. Very big slowdown for the 38. He lost a ton of speed. He's doing 190, not even close. So something happened to the 38. Not quite sure what happened, but he was on the apron at one point. I think he just got loose.
Well,
he got loose twice, actually. He got loose on the exit of 1, and then going through turn 2, Will, I think he was just so worried about the traffic of Sean Schlacker and not trying to get into him at all and ruin his race that he almost just drove the car into the grass through 2. Could have been a big issue there for the 38 machine. Luckily for him, he just loses a couple seconds out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, we were showing the wrong lap there. Apologies. There we are. We can just recycle this one back now. Just a few seconds. We'll show you what was going on. This is the driver of Dale Stanley then. Back end steps out into 1. You see having to correct. But then what happens, he's offline into 2. He tries to turn the wheel. And of course, all that downforce has gone, Cisco. These cars, they only really have that downforce when they're going 215 plus miles an hour. You lose 20 miles an hour, and that car actually becomes very, very hard to drive.
Yeah, especially if you're offline, because like you said, that car doesn't have the downforce and it doesn't have the side force either to get itself through the corner. And once you go offline, that's why you see guys always get out of the throttle when they go side by side. I believe right now that was a lap car, so never mind. But that was Niels in the 24, just got lapped there by the leader of TM Hauser. But you see these guys get out of the throttle all the time when they're side by side going in the corner. That's because the car on the outside, it can't stay up there. It's, it doesn't really have the downforce to be able to hold that top line. This isn't like Daytona also where you have plenty of banking. Not a ton of banking here at Indy. So those cars kind of, when they go up there, you have to get out of the throttle in order just to get it through the corner.
The easiest way to explain it, Randy, is that a plane can basically cruise and do whatever it wants to do at the speed it does, 600 miles an hour. you try and do that at 120 miles an hour, that plane isn't going to stick in the air.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really is actually the same exact effect. With aircraft terms, they call it a stall. When you're not pushing enough air over the wings, you're not generating enough lift, the plane basically just falls out of the sky. Race car doesn't fall out of the sky, race car just doesn't turn. And when race car doesn't turn, equally bad things happen.
As we are now about getting close to quarterway distance here in this event, we've got still a really nice battle going on. Paquin versus Gross is going on right now, but Gross is also actually right on the rear of Dennis Carisi as they work themselves into turn number 3, and Paquin's past that Cisco.
Yeah, Paquin did a great job, jumped to the inside. Job done for John Paquin. We said keep an eye on him, Will, and well, he's made his way up. Not the biggest mover on track, but one of them. And that Penske Honda is doing a great job now, moving up into that 4th position. He's going to set his sights on the cars in front of him. The first car that he's going to have to deal with is going to be Dennis Carisi in that Target Honda.
Yeah, as there is that battle then for P45, 3-4-5 as it is now, in terms of what is now becoming a very interesting race at the front of your field. Dennis Carisi, there you can see him, down in towards that 3rd corner. He comes, so look from the rear, because there's Paquin right behind him, number 6 machine. Paquin running on a one-off deal here today in the Classic IndyCar Series. Indianapolis 500 presented by Logical Innovative Engineering. Carisi, of course, is a series veteran here. 2 very different lines, and Carisi actually just scrubbing a lot of speed there, going past the Fuzzy's car in towards turn 2. Paquin the same. Paquin won't be able to really find a way past into 3, Cisco.
Now, Paquin lost too much time there, Will. He kind of fell off the back end of Carisi, so he's going to have to hopefully try and get that draft. And we've been seeing the slipstream really work well, but these guys holding off, waiting until they know they can get past the driver in front. And oh, problems for the P2 driver. That's the 10 car. He's going to slide backwards. Laville, big problems coming out of 4.
Yeah, there is Lucas Laville. Let's get ourselves a replay. After turn number 1, can he survive that? Yes, he can. So let's try and figure out what happened then. So Lucas Laville, oh, he just got the back end. All forms are loose there, in towards turn 4. Here's a replay then, as he enters the north end of the racetrack. Fine through 3. Just touch the curb. And the rule number 1 of Indy, Randy, don't touch the curbs.
Exactly, we always talk about it. Don't touch the curb. As he actually just clipped the wall coming off of turn 4, did Lucas Laville in that number 10 machine, but still a very good save. In my opinion, here at this motor race, at this racetrack, when you have the traffic behind you, this is the scariest place to get loose in the world. Lucas Laville likely going to have to take a handful of laps to calm down from that, get the heart rate back sorted, and put that in the back of his head. That was a big moment for him coming off of 4 just a couple laps ago.
Yeah, and traffic is now starting to come into play a little bit here, Cisco, as we have a look at TM Hauser still leading the way, as we are going to have ourselves 48 laps of this motor race scored complete now.
Yeah, the first lap car these guys are probably going to get to just rolling off pit road right now. Tyler Vickery in the number 20. He's on the access road. Actually, TM Hauser going to pass him there up on the banking there. These guys, of course, have to wait until turn 2 to re-enter that race course. So the 20 down on power. The first kind of pack is going to go past him here, but he's going to be problems probably for the guys 7th on back, Henry Bennett, guys like that. But for the most part, for your leaders, they have a while to go before they have to worry about lap traffic. Lewis Zambelli's the first car they're going to catch.
Yep, as we ride on board then with Henry Bennett, of course, he came back to the green flag with the race lead. However, that all changed very, very quickly. John Paquin versus Dennis Carisi. And nothing in towards turn number 1. 1.7 seconds now is the advantage from TM Hauser to Dennis Carisi, as Paquin there taking a very tight line through turn number 2 and almost running into the rear of Carisi, who just seemed to really lose speed down in that second corner. Paquin's race flashed there in a heartbeat through his eyes there, Cisco.
Yeah, that was not good, but Paquin now going to successfully complete that pass on the target Honda of Dennis Garisi. So now Paquin can get set his sights on TM Hauser, but you got to think for that driver, he's happy just to be past that car now because that almost went all wrong coming out of turn 2, but both drivers did an excellent job getting out the throttle, and Yellow is going to be back out on the speedway.
Yep, so Yellow for the 3rd time here today, and that one involves this driver, Niels Hundegi. We're going to ride on board with him then, as he is one of those drivers involved. Randy, talk me through it.
I'm just getting a look at it again, and it just seems to be, we've been seeing this today, Will. I think it might be those winds. Driver got loose through 4, tried to save it. That car just basically overcorrected, snapped back to the right, put that car on the wall. That's basically race done for the 24 machine. Seems a lot of people struggling with rear traction off of 4 today.
As Hundegi, though, you can see he is out of this motor race right now. That means, again, drivers don't have to pit under green, Cisco.
And it's making that easier because we talk about that entry on the pit road. It's not like something like a Kansas, like what we saw in the Monster Energy Cup Series race last night, where it's the guys are worried about how to get on the pit road. You have that long straightaway. The biggest thing you have to worry about is how you do your braking and make sure you don't, well, plow into that barrier between the track and the pit road, as we saw 1 week ago. You want to make sure you don't do that. But you know, pit road really not as bad as some of the other tracks here, but like I said, braking is the key. You have to make sure you get that right. Well, these guys don't have to worry about it. It's yellow flag, pit stops, everyone's got the pit limiter on already. This is going to be pretty easy.
And for TM Hauser, he's going to be very angry about that because he'd made up a 1.7 second advantage, Cisco. Gone, just like that.
Yeah, gone. I mean, for TM Hauser, and we've seen if he comes off pit road with the lead, I'm almost worrying that being the leader once you take the green flag again, it's kind of been a curse for a lot of these guys because they haven't been able to do anything once they do.
But here they all come on towards pit road once again then. Hauser will lead them in. Paquin's in, Garisi's in. One driver stays out, but I believe that is a lapped car. Indeed it is, a number 20 machine, who is a lap down. So let's ride them. This pit stop on board of TM Hauser.
Oh, we got a car upside down on pit lane. Patrick Byrne. What happened here to the 27?
Lots. We'll talk about that one in a minute, shall we? As we go back to have a look at TM Hauser. Out and away he comes. Side by side with Paquin. Who's going to get it? At the line, it is going to be Paquin by inches, Cisco.
That was so close. They were about flush the entire time. Paquin thinks he got it, and I have to wind the camera back. Oh my, that is dead on. That is, I don't know. You look at, I don't know if we can get a look at the line cam there, but oh my goodness, I've never seen pit road and Hauser coming up now. Paquin thought he got it, and Hauser coming up, it looks like, well, they're going to pass the 24, and no, Hauser did get him.
It was so close. We're just going to try and zoom in here and have a look at this one as they come to the line, the two of them. There we are. We want to rewind that just to give you one more shot at it. There at the line, it really was so close between them as they came in. We haven't got we have got the perfect angle. Here we are. You see, as they actually came to it, Paquin did seem to have the advantage by my perspective. By, again, 2 inches, I call that one, Cisco, but seemed to be it went in favor of TM Hauser.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see if we can flash back and figure out what on earth happened to the 27. And Randy, I know you saw it. And what was the thing I said? The one thing you cannot do when you're on pit road, don't hit that wall. Well, I think you could tell what happened.
Yeah, I think, maybe Will can comment, but it just sounds to me, I think he downshifted, and I think he went to give it a blip of throttle just to bring the gap down between him and the 67 in front of him on pit entry, and I think he just spun those back wheels. The car kicked right. He basically hit that wall, and, well, upside down he went.
We're running on board of him now. Flips it down. Yep. Game over. We're going to step aside. Back with more after this here on RaceSpotTV.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Beginner Series powered by iRacing is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Lights are out on top of the pace car. We've done 55 laps of this motor race at the line, Randy.
Yeah, first 55 laps complete. First quarter of the race going to be scored complete. Still have 3/4 of it to go. And still a lot of racing to happen. TM Hauser looks quick. John Paquin looks quick. Both the Ganassi cars have looked fast. There's a handful of very, very quick cars in the field today. We're in for a fantastic 145 laps of racing after we go green.
Well, let's bring you then a little bit of RaceSpotTV fan immersion as we go back to green. John Paquin looking for the race lead in towards turn number 1. Can he get it? They stay side by side in towards turn number 2. Sitsko.
Turn number 2, Paquin on the inside isn't able to make it happen. TM Hauser on the outside. Good run for him, but Paquin's going to have that inside, but he's not going to have the run to do anything with it, I think. TM Hauser, excellent defense on that top side.
Yeah, he's playing it defensively there, trying to keep John Paquin behind him. You might think that Paquin took a little bit of wing out there down on that last pit stop. Paquin then just going to try and work the outside line. As you can see now, Hauser going to just duck back into position in towards turn number 1. And well, now Paquin's going to find a way past TM Hauser. And this one isn't going to be easy, Randy.
No, it's not. TM Hauser is going to defend that position as hard as he can. And unlike in the DW12s, here in the R05, John Paquin is not going to be able to get the big slipstream that we see in IndyCar here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in this day and age. Not as much slipstream. You can still work it. However, the effect isn't nearly as large. Now, coming off of 4, can Paquin get the run? I think you're right, Will. I think that one of these drivers definitely made an aero adjustment. TM Hauser, I almost would say he went up on wing the way he was able to make that outside line work through 1 and 2.
Robert Grosser runs in P number 5. Lucas Seville just ahead of him. Randy Shoemake, though, is just behind Robert Grosser as they work themselves onto the back straight away once again, Cisco.
Yeah, and Easton Yamey kind of at the tail of this line was in the situation Paquin was in earlier where he could just sit by and let those guys fight it out for those positions in front of him. Easton Yamey content to ride right now as Grosser and Leveille probably your closest guys, and Shoemake as well up in that battle, but a little bit further off in that 06 machine. So he's going to let those guys battle out a little bit, probably jump in a little bit. He's going to be Easton Yamey trying to grab the leftovers for himself.
Andy Morgan versus James Payne going on towards the rear of your field. But let's turn our attention then back to John Paquin. Been 2.5 laps now, Cisco. He's not been able to find a way past TM Hauser in the way he was able to earlier on. And I'm just having a look at the lines. He does look okay in towards turn number 3. I'm going to bring the speed graphic up as well. I want to see if Paquin's scrubbing any speed in towards 1. That might be compromising his run later on. Let's listen in. Nope, he's flat, all right.
Yeah, he's just not getting the run that we're expecting of him off a 2. That was really close for TM Hauser for that turn 2 wall, but Paquin, I think the way he's sitting right now, I don't know if he's maybe instead of being completely flat, he's just 95% on the throttle the whole time so he can save fuel, or what the plan is for the Penske Honda, but Paquin just doesn't seem to be able to get the big runs. And maybe it's because he's too close, Will. Maybe because he's too close to the rear gearbox of your race leader, he can't get that big run because he's there already.
And now Dennis Carisi comes back into the fold as well, Randy. So it's now a 3-horse battle, although Carisi way up high towards turn 2.
Yeah, way up in the gray in turn number 2, and that's not what you want to happen whatsoever. He's going to lose a few tenths of a second for sure. I just think it's an issue right now. I don't think John Paquin wants to lead right now in that number 6 machine. I think he's content sitting behind the 56 machine and saving a little bit of gas, basically going with the Tim Holgate strategy for this motor race right now. He's had several opportunities, I think, where he could have made a move, where the speed the advantage just didn't come to him, and I think he just lifted out of it. I think he wants to sit P2, save some gas, likely thinking there will be at least one more caution in this race, probably multiple, and that there's no point in using a bunch of fuel trying to generate a big lead.
Although John Paquin would say that's the John Paquin strategy, not the Tim Holgate strategy, Randy.
Perhaps. Paquin may have paved the way, but to be fair, Tim Holgate really has made that his calling card in the last couple of years.
He has indeed. So his teammate is Yamey then. At one point of this event, he has led laps here today, Cisco, but now down into P number 7 versus Randy Shoemake for 6th place. Well, unraveling is what I'm going to call it as we enter close towards 1/3 distance.
Yeah, we're closing in here, and Paquin, I think, because he knows he has plenty of time, I think if he realistically wanted to go up, take that lead, he really could, but I think he's just, like we said, I think he's just waiting for the time. I mean, as Randy said, what was it? Once we get to about lap 150, then then as a driver, you have to go, okay, it's go time. I got to start making moves for that lead. We're not at that point yet, so these guys content to ride, and of course, as we're going to say all day, Will, got to get to that fuel number. And
in that case as well, Cisco, you actually got to count backwards in some cases as well. If a caution comes out, you've either got to get your engineers to do it or you've got to do it yourself. Work out if you pit now and it goes green, can I make it to the end with X number of pit stops?
Yeah, it's kind of, NASCAR teams use it on road courses a lot of the time where you count backwards. You go, okay, how many laps can I make it on a stop? Okay, we'll go from 200, count backwards. Whatever that lap may be, okay, we'll go, you know, minus, let's say, Randy, if it's like 50 or however many laps these guys can make on one tank, you go minus 50, okay, when's next, and you count it back to the point you are driving.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, I personally always found it best to count forward for myself personally. I think a lot of it just depends on someone's philosophy. Some people, they like to count backwards more. Other people, they like to count forwards. The way I generally just do it is say, okay, I can do X amount of laps. What is the window then from there that I can get to the end of the race? And then I'll try to build my strategy around that rather than counting backwards fully. But I still think, you know, regardless, you end up with the same result. You know, right now, and actually John Paquin, speaking about him, turn 3, I think he clipped that curb wheel, got a little bit loose, did a good job to save that, maintain speed.
Yeah, that's right on board. And have a look at the replay then. This is him on towards the back. Straight away is John Paquin, number 6 car. And, well, to go into that point in a little bit more detail, of course, you just want to make sure you don't have to run out of fuel or make a pit stop on that final lap of the event. There's the curb. It was a minor incident, I would say. We've all done it. It's how you react to those moments. That is the most important thing. 133 laps to go then here in the Classic IndyCar Series, presented by Logical Innovative Engineering, the title sponsor.
Yellow's out.
Stefan Sherlacher
again.
Replay. Those Lotus cars.
Actually, it was also problems for the 24 as well. We'll take a look at that afterwards.
Slacker, turn number 1. Takuma Sato base machine from 2011. And there is Niels Hundgren there on the exit of turn number 2. Big impact into the wall there.
Big impact indeed, and did the 23 machine. Wow, Luis Zambili. See that? If you see that happen in your mirror wheel, the car on your outside getting loose like that, I think Zambili missed getting caught up by Niels by what? About half an inch?
Yeah. I would actually want to replay that one from on board with Luis right now. Let's go on board with him. That's the first incident. Driver losing it. And then, right there. Goodbye. Thanks for coming. See you later. Under caution for the 4th time here today then. Well, Tim Hauser, interestingly, was able to keep that race lead. We don't expect anyone to come on towards pit road really this time by. So we'll be back with more analysis after this.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, watch him, watch him, watch him. Damn it! Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, sexy. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Tell. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar.
He hit an outlap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Well, we talked about the fact that we didn't expect there to be pit stops. Turns out there were, and the consequence of that meant that John Paquin has just moved himself to the front of the field, Cisco.
Yeah, he was able to, this time he was able to beat TM Hauser off pit road. So the driver of the Penske truck rental, number 6 Honda, back out in front. And I'm curious to see what this does to his strategy, because we saw him saving fuel behind Hauser. Now that's completely different. And Paquin he's out lean this thing. Do you think he gives up that lead well, or do you think he's going to try and fuel save in the lead?
Nah, he's going to go and try and build up the biggest gap he's got. I would argue simple as that at this stage. There is Sean Paquin. And you'll just see, we'll turn that camera back. There's TM Hauser coming out in second place. So Paquin, then Randy, lead for the first time here this afternoon.
Great for him. It's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is going to be for him. It's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is going to be here, Cisco, because I'm not entirely convinced. Will says he's going to try to build up a big lead. I think if you're John Paquin, you've had this game plan of saving gas. I think you shouldn't get away from that. After all, saving gas, even we had a short run that last green flag sprint, and still he managed to pick up a position doing it. I think he's going to be perfectly content if TM Hauser wants to lead, to give it to him and to cycle into second or third.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about it all day, Randy. You got to hit that fuel number. Because ultimately that's going to be the deciding factor in this race. We have to look at the Indy 500s we've had this year, Randy, and the one we the one we did have last week, that finished with a green flag run of over 100 laps. So, you don't have to worry about, you got to restart with 5 to go. For those guys last week, they had to worry about a huge green flag run and make sure the fuel was there at the end. So for these guys, it's kind of that case where if you play it safe now, you're probably going to be in a better position versus trying to build up a big lead and trying to save your position early. Because if you're going to burn all that fuel, lean the race, it may just come back to bite you at the end of it.
Talking about that last week, it wasn't just that we had a big 150 or so green flag run to the end of that race last week in the Indy Elite Series. You also had the race dictated by that run, because the final caution, majority of the field came down and pit, got tires, got fuel. 2 drivers did not, one of which was a driver which was dominating that race, Bradley Walters. Bradley Walters, because he didn't pit under yellow on lap, I think it was 53, lost the race because he was short on fuel through the last 147 laps. A strategy call of the race isn't going to go green for 147 laps, which, let's be honest, isn't that extravagant of a claim whatsoever, cost Bradley Walters an Indy 500. Every little decision you make in these races could be catastrophic and could get you the win.
It could do.
Yeah.
You go.
Well, now that you're back, we reintroduced randomly Will Vincent. Will Vincent, welcome back to the booth. Was there takeout at the door, or did they at least bring us refreshments for the booth?
I had a cat that needed attention.
Oh, RaceSpot Cat once again making its presence known.
Yeah. John Paquin, though, does lead the way right now. Tim Hauser outside of row number 1 for your restart. Then it's Lucas Avil, Randy Shoemake, Dennis Carisi, Timo Insignemi, Robert Grosser, Carson Bodaway, Henry Bennett, and John Elmsheimer, who round out your top 10. It's going to be interesting, Randy, because if Paquin just does what I expect him to do, he'll be 4 seconds ahead within about 20 laps.
What is Garis doing? Was he... Okay, now he's closing it up. I was just really confused there. We had a big gap between second and fourth place on the outside. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Paquin does. Does he push for the big lead, or does he maybe just give up the lead early here and just chill and just continue to save fuel? Even on a short run, we just had a short run, Paquin managed to pick up a spot in the pits because of fuel saving. I think he's going to see the value in that. I don't think he's going to push for a big lead.
Well, we're going to find out then. Back to green here at Indy. TM Hauser is 4 tenths of a second back right now. It looked to be, Cisco, that John Paquin timed that restart to try and get above the magical 6 tenths. It didn't work for him. Hauser is still there.
Hauser's still there, but that was a decent restart for once for the leader. I mean, you were right in saying he was able to time it out. At least he didn't get swallowed up and fall back to second or anything like that, so Paquin went out to the front early.
Randy Shoemake versus Robert Grosser, P5 on track. Shoemake is one of those drivers you haven't really talked about here today, Randy, but he's comfortably now looking for a top 5 position, down to the inside of Grosser. Job done, into the top 5.
There's a handful of these drivers, I think, Will, that are sitting somewhere around, between 4th to about, 10th that could very well be contenders once we get to the end of it. I think a lot of people running relatively quiet races at the moment. I'm also curious, just real quick, I think John Emsweiler just had a fantastic lap. No, he only picked up 1 spot. My timing was glitching out for me. But I think a lot of these people in the middle to tail end of your top 10 to the early stages of, 11th, 12th, 13th, in that sort of area, I think they likely have good cars, quick cars, and are either just trapped in the dirty air or just playing it really patient at the moment as John Paquin still tries to stretch the gap over TM Hauser as they go into 3.
Oh, we've got to have ourselves a moment almost there. Tim Mello was trying to get himself past Carson Bodaway. Didn't work out for him because there's a slow car down on the inside in towards turn at number 3 as they're going 3 wide now down in towards that first corner. Look out, boys. Who's going to make it work? Oh, trouble, car on the wall. Yellow.
No.
Hasn't flown yet.
There it is.
Hans Pitkanen.
And it took us a while to get the yellow, but it does come out in the end. 3 wide into 1 only works when they're going at a certain speed, Cisco.
Yeah, and if you want to ask how bad turn 1 is, and I said it last week, go ask Takuma Sato how turn 1 3 wide works, or even turn 1 2 wide works, because for Pitkanen, I think he thought he was going to clear the Lotus there, Will, and it just wasn't meant to be right there.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, he will be classified as out of this event. Well, we were halfway through a commercial and everyone came on towards pit road. More after this.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Beginner Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Introduce.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpotTV. John Paquin still leads away. Tim Hauser, second place. 1.5 laps before we go back to green, Tisco.
Yeah, and we've been sitting here kind of looking back through the grid, and one guy I have to take note of who's kind of made his way into this top group of drivers, and we haven't even talked about him much. Running in 15th, Andrew Adair Saunders, up 15 spots right now, Randy, and he's slowly been sneaking into the picture here, that National Guard Honda.
He sure has. Good for him. That's that's hard to do, Will, and Will is going to be someone who can, actually, and Randy Shoemake, he's up even more spots from 33rd to 17th. It is hard to run your way through a field here in Indianapolis.
It's hard to make your way through the field and keep it. I think it's the important thing to note, Randy. You can get lucky with strategy once or twice early on, but now, once you're deep into the heart of the motor race, keeping those positions is the hardest thing.
I agree, as Will just threw it to me mid-cough, and I didn't want to come on the air coughing. But yeah, I mean, it is... Well, you're not my doctor, so I'm not going to listen to you. But regardless, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's so difficult to do. You can have parts of the race, elements of the race get thrown at you that at the start you're able to take and somehow get your way to the front. But it's the really good drivers, the really smart drivers, who can find a way to get their way to the front from the back and stay there.
James Payne's had a couple of issues. He's trying to work out whether his car's okay right now. Slowing it back down. Number 19 machine. Boy Scouts of America car. Got one driver on pit road. That's the driver that was involved in that crash last time out. Number 8 car. Paquin leads the way. Well, he didn't get the start. He got a good start there, Cisco. He didn't get the start he wanted to break away from TM Hauser that last time by. Do you think he's going to try something different this time to try and mark out TM a little bit?
I would assume he's going to, but you want to make sure you don't outdrive yourself here on the restart. We've already seen leaders fall to the back beforehand. If Paquin overanalyzes the start here, he could cost himself. He could try too hard, and maybe TM Hauser just waits for the 6 to try and do something to psych him out or something, and then just hits the gas pedal and drives right past him. So the 6 has to be careful. He can play a few games, but at the end of the day, you just got to make sure you get a clean start.
Yeah, they are too wide once again then. Back for the restart here at Indianapolis. John Paquin from TM Hauser are your top 2 drivers then. Mr. Niscarisi, Lucas Seville, Timo Bissiniemi, Robert Grosser, Henry Bennett, and John Elmsweimer. We would have had 79 laps scored complete as they come past the start-finish line. 120 to go then here at Indy. The green flag comes back out once again here as Paquin will wait. Now go. And Hauser timed that one beautifully. He's gone right with him there, Cisco, in towards 2.
Yeah, Hauser did a very good job. Paquin got a decent start, but like you were saying, Hauser once again able to hold on to the back gearbox of the 6 there. They're going to go nose to tail here into turn 3, and TM Hauser got a huge run, going to get out of the loud pedal though, so he's going to just ride behind Paquin here as they head through 3, maybe try and get a run out of 4.
The 2 cars will work themselves on the exit of turn 4. Dennis Garisi did lose a little bit at the start of that run, but has been able to close back up. TM Hauser then looking for the race lead in towards turn number 1. Can he keep it? Can he hold it? He's got it.
Oh, and Dennis Grease has a big issue in the back going through corner number 1. I don't know how he managed to hold that. Will got to the apex of 1. I think he had 2 wheels down in the grass.
Yeah, let's get a replay of that one from him then, because Garisi almost caused a big one there down at turn number 1. And this all started with the waft of dirty air, Randy, because you've got 2 wide in front of them. He's doing 2 tenths per second. Coming down in towards turn number 1, Dennis Garisi lifts off the gas and really does get 2 wheels, but he just doesn't get loose there.
Yeah, that's what's really weird is that the way that car actually held that, it looks like that wasn't actually potentially a big problem. But Dennis Grease is actually insanely lucky that he didn't turn that machine and potentially take out 5, 6, 7 cars all in one fell swoop.
But for TM Hauser, how important, Cisco, was him moving back to the race lead, because now he is on course for leading the most laps here today.
He is, and that's going to help out in the championship. Of course, we are talking about the Indy 500. Championship only means so much. But for John Paquin, this kind of falls into the realm of what Randy and I were expecting to see out of him. Just sit behind the leader and just save fuel. And that's precisely what he's doing. He could have maybe tried to make a run to the bottom. Didn't happen, though. John Paquin, that Penske truck rental Honda, he's just going to ride behind right now.
Randy Shoemate just moved up 2 places, down 1 straight away. First of all, passed Andrew Adair-Saunders, then past Jos van der Ven, who also then loses the position to Andrew Adair-Saunders. So Shoemate there doing a good job in P number 16 ahead. We've got battles going on. This is a Telemundo number 2 machine that was used by Ariel Servia. Tim Miller behind the wheel of that one. Dale Stanley, number 38 machine, just ahead. And then Team Racing Gaming. Those 3 drivers, Randy, separated by 3 tenths of a second.
A lot of good fights happening up and down the field right now. Timo, who we saw lead early on, as they go side by side into 1. Dale Stanley trying to work himself around that 30 machine, back down to the inside in 2. We've seen drivers be able to make the outside work. Timo's able to make it stick again. Gonna hold on to the spot for now, but behind, Tim Miller might make a move and throw it up around the outside of Dale Stanley into 3. But a lot of good fights, Will, happening up and down your field after this restart.
Yeah, and then staying on board with Stanley for a moment. You can see that the 2 pretty much now have been side by side for an entire lap. Stanley can't seal the deal there. He will fall back into line for a moment as ahead. Top 3 drivers separating now by just a quarter of a second. Lucas Seville in 4th. 2 car lengths equals 2 tenths of a second here, Cisco.
Yeah, and he just can't get away, Will, and such is the case of the slipstream here, and Garisi starting to tag on to the top 2 as well. Garisi kind of in this position where he could just sit back and just hang out for a bit, Will.
As Lucas Seville exits turn number 4, still in that 4th place. Garisi in 3rd. They are slowly breaking away, actually, from Lucas Seville, but not by much. And we will say it is minutiae gaps there. He lost almost 2 tenths of a second on lap number 88, well, 86 of this event, really, Randy. But, you know, every tenth matters here.
Every tenth of a second is huge in Indianapolis, and Dennis Grease in corner number 3 catches the curb on the inside, gets loose again. Dennis is pushing this car, Will, to the absolute limits, using every inch and then some of the racetrack. That number 9 machine needs to be careful. He keeps doing that. I don't think that 9 machine is going to make it to lap number 200 here today.
No, as behind you've got Caton Bomber's back versus Jaden Thurlow. That's going on for 14th place on track right now, as Thurlow completes the pass and moves himself past Caton Bomber's back in the number 67 car. A couple of technical issues there for Bombers Patch as we go back then. Further ahead, two side by side again. Miller versus Dale Stanley for P number 9. Let's go.
Yeah, and that's a great battle going on for that 9th position, and Stanley lost out here, so Miller kind of starting to pull away in that Telemundo number 2, and then it just looks like Stanley is getting a decent run here, but it's not going to be enough to do anything, and he's actually brought Carson Broadway into this battle as well.
And Broadway is currently in the 11th place if you're right on board with him. Number 78 machine, of course, that's the car. That's Simone Di Silvestro run. There are 4 women who ran in the 2011 Indianapolis 500. Sarah Fisher, Milka Duna, Simone Di Silvestro, and Danica Patrick. Number 78 car belongs, as you said there, to Simone Di Silvestro. As out front, Paquin's content to sit. Let's ride lap on board of him. I'm starting to support your 95% theory here, Cisco.
What, for Paquin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I feel like he's not going full 100 because he's not getting out of the throttle. I think he's just being very consistent, but that consistency isn't 100% because we aren't hearing the engine cut off. We're not hearing him like cut the engine or like move around a little bit, try and get a run or anything like that. I think he's just running far up that scale of acceleration, but not quite at 100%, and it's allowing him to be a little more gentler on the throttle and also allowing him to maybe be a little gentler on the steering as well.
And one of the things that is worth noting here is the fact that, well, overall today, we have had ourselves a pretty clean race. What's also worth noting in terms of these cars, Randy, is compared to the Dallara DW12, they have to use their right foot to modulate the fuel. They can't put it to a different fuel map as you can in a DW12 here. They took that away at Kentucky in 2010. Here, they have basically got to manage the fuel by the input that they put in on that throttle pedal.
Exactly, and that's why we're so convinced that Paquin's just sitting here just sipping fuel. You don't have to lift the throttle a lot here. One, to not get a run, and two, to save a bit of gas. You see right now into 2, Paquin, he just gets a little bit of the clean air. TM doesn't get a good line through 2, and for every reasonable doubt, Paquin should have a huge advantage on this back straightaway, but he just doesn't. Likely going to 95, 96% throttle, just getting, not getting to full. That allows Hauser to just stay just out in front, allows Paquin to just continue to sip gas in the draft as he gets really tight and almost tags the wall off 4.
Does that deserve a replay, Randy?
Why not?
Let's have a look. On board then with John Paquin. In towards turn 3. Takes a shallow of the line into the corner. Into turn number 3. Then turn number 4. Just pushes up into the grey. And he was inches, well, Corso, the fastest lap time, Cisco, are found inches away from the wall.
That is the case, but I'll buy fastest lap times in 100 laps when it's lap 196 and you're trying to win the race. When you're trying to do it right now, don't throw away the car when you're only halfway through the race. Well, we still got plenty of race to go. Yeah, it might help you keep the lead, but it ain't worth throwing away the car for it.
Caden Thurlow on pit road. Or coming down on towards pit road even. Some issues for him by the looks of it. Tim Hauser still leads away. There your top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers all in one shot. Then you got yourself Timo Isimiemi, 2.8 seconds behind Henry Bennett. Bennett really is running in no man's land right now, Cisco.
Yeah, Bennett's kind of in that kind of weird transition area. He's not close to Insaniemi or Elmswire or Miller, who are behind him, but he's not gaining on the guys in front of him, Grosser, Leveille, the rest of your front pack. So he's just kind of a man alone right now in the middle of the field with no one around him. So all he can really do is just keep doing laps. At least he doesn't have to worry about dirty air.
No, certainly not. Tim Miller, though, versus John Elmsweimer. That is a lovely little battle going on for P8. Miller down to the inside. He's got it. In towards turn 3, Randy.
Just good, classic move there by Tim Miller. Got to the inside in 3, made it stick, moves himself up a spot, and actually, the way he did that, Will, he managed to give himself a big gap between himself and that 88 machine of Imsweiler behind. I don't think he's going to have to worry about Imsweiler redrafting back up to him.
Yep. So just having a look then to Tim Miller one more time. His next driver to try and pass is Timo Isiniemi. Michael Gerlicher, there, the number 57 machine, runs himself in the 11th place, working himself down to the inside of that number 78 machine of Carson Bodaway. Can't actually make the pass though. In towards turn number 3, so stays behind. That outside line can work, Cisco.
Yeah, and we also saw, I believe it was TM Hauser be able to hold off Paquin before on that high sideline, so you can make it work up there, but you can really only make it work if you know you're going up there beforehand. If you're waiting until a car's down there on the bottom side, as I'm taking another look at that great job that Broadway did on the outside, you can make it work up there, but you have to be committed to it, Will.
You do. You always do when you run up high here, because the marbles, they are going to push themselves off of that racing groove, Cisco. So you can already see that dark line appearing down the bottom third of the racetrack. You step out of that, that's where those little pieces of rubber are being picked up, and you're not going to get too much dust here at Indy. It's not like we saw in the World Championship Grand Prix Series yesterday, but still, it does mean that you lose grip dramatically once you get into that. As Elmsweimer versus Gerlicher again, side by side.
Yeah, and I was just looking up a little bit from those guys as their battle is going to finish off. Vima able to get past him here, but I believe Robert Grosser actually starting to make a little bit of an impact here. He was able to get past Lucas Leveille, so he's moved up into that 4th position. So Grosser starting to make his way up towards the front of this pack here.
Yep, and 100 laps to go at the line, Randy.
100 laps to go, 250 down, 250 up. And this second half of the race, once we get a little bit deeper into it, is going to look much different from what we've seen in the first half. We're going to see strategy. We're going to see it play out. But drivers are going to start focusing less on conserving fuel and tires and focusing more on raw and outright speed.
Yep, as we get ourselves to halfway, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment there to thank the sponsor, the title sponsor of the Classic IndyCar Series, Logical Innovative Engineering. Logical offers professional solutions to satisfy the needs of virtual sim racers, and it's for that reason they have created, with the help of a passionate professional team. I'm going to stop that because I just saw Dennis Garisi in the wall there.
It was really close, but I think once again, no, he tagged it. He tagged it with the wheel a little bit. It wasn't bad, but yeah, just a little shake out of that Target Honda and a little tap to the wall, and Garisi able to hold on to it. But yeah, that was knife edge close.
And it also allowed Robert Grosser to get past as a consequence there in towards turn number 2. So, as I was saying, Logical offers professional solutions to satisfy the needs of virtual sim racers, and it's for that reason they have created, with the help of a passionate professional team, several tools that easily adapt to suit the needs of every sim racer to change their way of driving, reading and feeling. They intend every driver to set each lap, each acceleration and each turn, not only to imagine, but to experience like they're in a real race car. Logical Innovative Engineering, the title sponsor of the Classic IndyCar Series, past the halfway point now, Randy.
Yeah, and it's, now at this point, 98 laps to go here at Indy, and a bunch of the field have been thinned out, Will. And thing is, for all these guys, we're quickly approaching that point of green flag pit stops. In fact, we have Tim Miller coming off of pit road now. So scheduled stops have already started for some drivers.
Yep, let's have a look then at Tim Miller, one of the first drivers to pit. There is the time for him. 12.4 seconds, 39.1 seconds in the lane, end to end for that. Michael Gerlicher having technical issues, putting him out of this event. What lap of the stint are we on here, Cisco?
We are right now on this stint. Hold on,
24.
let me bring up. Yep, timing 24. Well, actually, no, we're 34.
So
Randy, we're 34
see,
laps in.
Yeah, we should see everyone come in the next
No, we're 24. We went green on lap 82. We're working lap 106.
No, but the guys who haven't pitted, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's right. I'm not smart. You got to remember this.
So, you should expect to see drivers on pit road in the next 2 to 3 laps time, Cisco.
Yeah, we had that portion of yellow flag, but once these guys start to hit pit road, then, well, we talked about it earlier. You have to make sure you don't lock up the brakes here. You don't want to hit the attenuator. And if you want to make sure you don't hit the wall either. And if you can get all that right, you should be good to go and hit pit road reasonably.
As we are now 96 laps away from the end of this race, past halfway there. And we're having a look to see Dennis Carisi versus Robert Grosser. Those top 2 drivers of Team Hauser and John Paquin have pulled out now 1.3 seconds over the field, Randy.
Yeah, those 2 guys, they've started to check out. And I don't think this has just been the pure pace wheel of Tim Hauser and John Paquin. I think it's also has to do to the fact that the number 9 machine of Dennis Carisi, he was leading that second pack for a good chunk, and I think he lost those guys a good chunk of time with the mistakes he's had over the course of this run.
Yeah, as we've been riding on board there with Dennis Carisi. John Paquin has slipped back a tiny bit there from TM Hauser. 4/10 of a second is the gap now between Hauser and Paquin towards the end of a fuel run. They both come right now, and we're going to get our first taste, potentially, of green flag pit stops here, Cisco.
Yeah, and now we're just waiting to see are we going to see any cars down this time? It doesn't look like anyone's going to come this time, but now it's just a case. Who's going to make that first move on the pit road here? And, are these guys going to stretch it all? There is one car down. It's the 06.
Yep, 06 machine then down on pit road. That is Randy Shoemake out of the way. Pit stop time for him there, Randy. 9.1 seconds. Faster than Tim Miller.
Yeah, good quick stop for him, but Tim Miller is going to come out with the position for sure. Shoemake still down on the apron, getting back up onto the racing surface. Miller is clear and going 220 miles an hour down the back straightaway, so he's going to be long gone. Let's see when everyone else starts coming down pit road. Tyler Vickery currently exiting the pit lane as well. Those are the only cars we saw down pit lane that time by. Leaders all go around another time. I think Paquin, we're going to see here, will likely be one of the last ones to pit, just the way he's been driving his behind Tim Hauser.
And I'd argue you can save about a lap and a half, 2 laps of fuel with the cautions thrown in as well. So we're likely to see John Paquin working himself potentially to the front of the field after this round of pit stops. Andrew Adair Saunders is out of the race early here today on RaceSpotTV. Andrew, what happened?
Well, the basic gist of it is I had right rear tire temp issues that made the car completely unstable, and well, I lost it that way. I tried to manage it, but failed. My attempts basically failed.
Andrew Adair Saunders coming home, P number 25, unfortunately, in this event. And well, tire temps, well, they can be an issue, Cisco, especially when you go through multiple heat cycles, and also when you work yourself in these draft packs like P3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And, based on what those tire temps are going to be and how much wear is actually, well, we'll have to throw that point away for the moment because leaders down. Look at how much ground Paquin got on going into pit road.
And the Ganassi cars go again.
So, Carisi, Laville will stay out. Paquin into his box. Nicely in this time by. The first time he overshot, this time it's perfect for him. TM Hauser now into his box as well. Paquin got within 6 inches of taking the race lead out of pit road once here today. TM Hauser will come out behind Paquin. Paquin will take the race lead away here, Cisco.
Huge run for Paquin there, and I have to think a lot of that was pit entry. Did a very good job coming into pit road, and the Ganassi cars, as we mentioned, they stayed out 1 extra lap. Laville and Garisi, they're in now.
Yeah, so John Paquin, 11.4 second pit stop. For TM Hauser, 12.1 second pit stop. Hauser with a longer stop there, Randy. Something to put in the back of our mind as the 2 Ganassi cars are indeed on pit road.
Well, it's just, I mean, we saw TM Hauser out at the front of the field. He was pushing himself through clean air. John Paquin, for the entirety of that stint, basically was just sat in second place, just drafting. And it may not sound like much. It may only be a couple seconds of fuel on the timer, but that can be a huge advantage. As look as the amount of time the Ganassi cars are going to lose. Your leaders are already clear and going into 2. Ganassi cars are just now going into 2 on the apron. They lost a lot of time on pit road, Will.
They did, as Garisi also comes out ahead there of Lucas DeVille. So, big changes with 90 laps to go in this race here. All of a sudden, John Paquin leads the way by 7/10 of a second. It is now for TM Hauser. You've got to do perfect laps for the next 2-3 here. Otherwise, you are going to lose that draft, and it may well be game over.
Yeah, and I'm looking to see where the rest of the field's going to be. And I mean, a lot of these guys, if you're not John Paquin, TM Hauser, or even the Ganassi cars have kind of lost touch. You have to go all the way back to try and find the next car that's by Hauser, and it's going to be James Payne in that, the number 19, the Boy Scouts of America car. He's way back. He's back with the Ganassi cars, but a huge way off the lead. That's about 4.5 seconds.
Yep, Paquin just working himself through quite a bit of traffic all of a sudden. TM Hauser lost out about 1/10 of a second through traffic that last time by. But traffic management all of a sudden, Randy, becomes key in this motor race.
Always a big thing here at Indy, especially on these big green flag runs. I think the reason we're seeing all this traffic is the different times the people are putting in. A lot of people are a lot better getting onto and off of pit road than others, and John Paquin and TM Hauser seem to be the class of field in that respect, and because of that, they're dealing themselves in some lap traffic. A lot of cars right now up in turns 3 and 4 north end of the racetrack. Hauser now cycles his way through, gets a bit of clean track for now, and that for the most part puts your leaders past all that lap traffic. Next car in line is Michael Gerlica, but he's already going into turns 1 and 2, so a big gap for him compared to your leaders, so pretty much clean track out in front.
Yes, but Hauser was the beneficiary of that one, as James Payne is on towards pit road then, one of the last pitches in this sequence here. TM Hauser was initially the fastest there through that last lap, but as soon as they get into clean air, Paquin is all of a sudden away here, Cisco.
Yeah, and Laville also had, well, the quickest lap, last lap, he ran a 40.725 versus the 41.1 that John Paquin ran. That was due to traffic or whatever. We'll have to see, take a look at the times at the line just to see how they stack up. John Paquin coming across the yard of bricks right now, 40.706, and then 733 for TM Hauser, so a little bit more even for those guys. Ganassi cars come by, 41 flats for both of them.
Yeah, but they were working themselves through that traffic. They have got more traffic ahead of them the next 2 laps as well. And this IRO5 machine, I think the easiest way to explain it, Randy, is they're not as nimble as the Dallara DW12. You've got to put it into a lane and then hope it sticks.
Yeah, you really do. You can't. These cars don't move as well. They generate less downforce. They don't stick to the ground nearly as well. And you know, those Dallara DW12s, in some extents they're worse, in other extents they're better. And in that case, like you said, Will, those cars are a lot more nimble than the modern cars, but a lot more aero push, I feel, in the newer ones.
Yeah, indeed so. As the retirees out of the event today, you've got Rodney Passeri, Andrew Aiken, Michelle Constantini, Johnny Garrett, Jonathan Diggs, Niels, Princeton Edge, Stephen Slacker, Andrew Eder Saunders, who we just talked to. So, 85 laps remaining in this event now. Getting ourselves closer to third race distance, Cisco. And this is when, like an onion, you start peeling back that downforce.
Yeah, you do, and you start thinking, okay, what do I have to do to get back to the lead? No longer, you start moving your strategy away from fuel mileage, and you start looking, okay, where can I make speed? Where can I make speed? You want to start working and getting yourself as close as you can to those leaders. A couple more cars also coming off pit road right now. Jack Turner and Andy Morgan can come out right in front of the Ganassi cars here. So a couple cars still having to worry about pit road, but that's just going to make a little bit more traffic for those Ganassi guys. They're going to be in big trouble. They may need a caution before the end of this.
Well, yeah, because now you are 6 seconds behind your front duo. There are your front duo heading themselves towards the yard of bricks. And there is Dennis Garis et al., Lucas Lavelle. Look at them working themselves through traffic here. Down to the inside, yellow. Louis, no, it's someone, but we have got yellow out on track. And it is the driver of Louis Zambelli there. Number 23 machine. Lost it through turn number 3. Hit the safer barrier on the inside. Up and over he goes. Back out onto the track. Yellow flag is out. 5th time today, Randy.
That was a big incident there for that number 23 machine. Car just flat out. I mean, he took a really weird line, didn't he, Will, through turn 3. He didn't, I mean, he had completely clear track, but it's like he just tried to keep that car way down to the inside instead of tracking out. And I think all that lock, all that, you know, trying to keep the car so low upset the rear end, and the rear end just stepped out.
What happens when you get below 200 miles an hour? That car becomes more difficult to drive.
Exactly, less aero, and you know, especially on the rear end. If it's, you know, it can be okay if you lose some front downforce if you're expecting it. Even if you're expecting to lose rear aero, it can still be very difficult to handle and, you know, deal with.
Well, these guys have done 10 laps on a stint here, and it'll be interesting to see if they come on towards pit road, because let's play the countback game. They are on the very edge of a fuel window. They should actually all be good to go to the end if they don't come in towards pit road this time by Cisco to make 2 more stops. There's no real benefit from pitting here because you're not going to save a pit stop overall.
No, you're really not going to be able
down pit lane.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I'm always of the mindset you want to have, you know, you don't want to have to worry about that sort of thing. And, well, we'll have to see. Do we see the fake out?
No,
Survey says, nope, everyone's coming in. They want to play it nice and safe on field today.
Arguably, I don't know
everyone
why.
Ganassi cars split.
I was going to say, I don't quite know why, because you can make it to the end with just 2 more pit stops here. So Lucas Laville will take over the lead of this motor race. It will be Hauser versus Paquin on pit road once again. Let's see who's going to win this one. Paquin is going to lose that position this time by Tatiam Hauser. They flip-flop it around. This time, Hauser is back ahead of Paquin there, Cisco.
Yeah, and that was, Paquin did not have a good pit stop right there. And it looks like, I'm trying to see what the problem was. I think he might have...
He missed his box.
Yeah, he slid through his box. That's what it was. I looked, and the camera turned around. So Paquin slid through the box, and it was only by half a foot, but that's all it took.
That's the second time he's done that today. I think he did that either at the first or second yellow as well when he was getting his way through the field. Little mistakes will cost you big at this racetrack.
Indeed so. We're going to step aside for a moment. Back with more after this.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, jam it. Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Yes! Push like hell. We got to stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Tell. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
INDYCAR.
The in and out lap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. Hit me. Inside, outside, outside.
2017 Verizon INDYCAR Series. See what's next.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
If you missed the 5th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series yesterday, you can check it out on our YouTube channel, as well as iRacing, where Martin Kroenke made it 5 out of 5. He's not quite managed to beat the record of Gregor Hutu back in 2010 of 14 race wins in a row, but he's getting close as lights are out on the pace car, Andy.
Yeah, Martin's getting close. He's quickly reaching halfway because through these first 5 rounds of 2017, won the first 5 races, and he won the final race of 2016. I personally count that, so he's up to 6, quickly approaching that halfway point. But Gregor back in 2010, when that WC GPS ran the IndyCar, that was an impressive run by Gregor.
Oh yeah, they were in this machine, weren't they?
Yep, they were.
Yeah. Gregor Hutu's never run an Indy 500.
Makes me sad.
Neither has Martin Kroenke. We might see at least one of them change that statistic next week in the greatest spectacle of sim racing. It's now all changed. Laville from Wilder, from Miller, Bodaway, and Tim Hauser are your top 5. Half the field pitted, half them didn't. We'll talk about that in a moment's time as we take you back to green. RaceSpotTV fan immersion. Well, what we've just seen over the last couple of laps is John Paquin move himself up 2 places. Tim Miller down 2 places. Side by side with Robert Grosser right now, Cisco.
Yeah, so for those guys who came down pit road, they have a little bit heavier of a fuel load, Will, but I don't know, maybe it's going to allow them to race a little bit harder. They could have been saving those earlier times and maybe as...
Yeah, these guys are racing really hard. As I'm not sure if you guys can hear what we're hearing, but that was quite entertaining. But the fight for the top 4 is on 0.3 of a second. And I'm not sure that Will saw this, actually, Cisco, as Dennis Garis on the opening lap of the restart got into a bit of an issue going into corner number 3 wide. He has a little bit damage on that left front, and he's now cycled down to 15th.
He has.
Yeah, Garis.
And that's a big thing there for Dennis Garis, because he was one of those contenders we thought was going to do a good job here today. Replay is up if we can find it for you again there, Cisco. But for Dennis Garis, this is not the run he would have wanted to have had here, because now, with 75 laps to go, a lot harder to make up time.
Yeah, it absolutely is, Will. And you could see there's a little bit of, I want to say, left front damage on that number 9 that's left over there. It looks a little bit crooked. So for Garisi there, that's all it'll take. It's not like we're at a half a mile short track where you can have that sort of damage. We're at Indy. If you have even a slight bit of damage, it can do horrible things to your car. And Garisi, I mean, he's 16th right now, so he's, for all intents and purposes, game over.
He is. But again, you can always use strategies to get yourself back into these events. Lucas Avil versus Morris Wimmer going on right now for your read. One of the Ganassi cars, Randy, at the very least, is still out front right now. Yellow.
Yeah, yellow does fly, and let's see who's that going to be who brings that yellow out. Carson Broadway spun in between corners number 1 and 2, and who's that he got involved with? Robert Grosser got into this one. Let's see what happened. I think the 78 just lost it, yeah.
There's a replay then on board the 78 machine. He was way up into the grey through 1. Oh, back end just kicked out on him then. Game over for that number 78 machine. Big damage to suspension, to the front wing of that car. Lots and lots of damage there, Cisco.
Yeah, and for Broadway now, that's going to basically take him out of this race, because he's going to try and nurse it back to pit road, but I believe they've rolled out the backup car for that 78 team already, but even if they haven't, that's still, he's going to lose a ton of time, and he was running fairly decently, Will, but even if they have to roll out that backup car and he does get a fresh car, that's so much time lost for that 78 team.
Tim Hauser in 3rd place, Morris Wimmer in 2nd, Lucas Avil in 1st. Well, they're now 18, 20, and 9 laps into a stint. 2/3 of the way through. They pit. The issue is now they cycle back behind everyone else, regardless of if the guys behind them coming towards pit road, Randy, because of the fact that they'll take a good 3 seconds worth of fuel more.
We actually just saw on this last restart what can happen if you decide to pit and a good chunk of the field doesn't. I mean, that middle part of the field from about 3rd, 4th on back, and then you got to a lot of the quicker guys who pit, the people like Hauser, the people like Paquin. There was a big shuffle in amongst the field. That's part of what got Dennis Garis into his issues. The field got stacked up. They went 3 wide, and he got tagged. Looks like everyone's going to come down pit road. Looks like everyone's coming down.
Jumped in too late, I would argue that.
Yeah, he definitely would. Honestly, Will, I'm going to talk about this. Number 9 machine of Dennis Garis is arguably making a big mistake of his motor race. He has a little bit of damage on that left front, but it didn't really seem to be hurting the pace of that car. I think that 9 machine should have stayed out on this one just for the track position. Even if that car be a little bit off pace, try to get yourself out in front, run a handful of laps, and hope for another caution, and then pit with that one to try to get you back out near the front. Now you're just going to be locked down in the back of the field.
Paquin leads the drivers out of pit road, though. Then Tim Hauser, Robert Grosser, Lucas Avil, Randy Shoemate. So every pit stop, it flip-flops around here, Cisco. One time, it's Paquin. The next, it's Tim Hauser.
But it also helps when you actually make it into your stall properly. So for Paquin, great pit stop. Didn't have to worry about sliding through the stall. And Team Hauser once again loses out on pit road. You're going to be swapping back and forth. Both of these guys, they're going to have just... I don't know. We've seen them at their best when they're racing off pit road. So I would say Team Hauser... I'd say his car's about even with Paquin's as we've seen thus far, but also we have to keep in mind we've been suspecting that Paquin's only been about 90% on the throttle. Well, he's got about 68 laps, 67 laps to go here, Randy, and we're running out of time to be half on the throttle. At this point, we're going to start going full tilt pretty soon.
Yeah, we really are. We're coming down to the point where you need to start pushing. We're still a little bit early. Lap 132, lap 130. So still 70 laps to go in this one. Right now, if I'm one of the leaders, I don't start pushing super hard just yet. And if we get another quick yellow, I don't come down pit lane and take all the aero off the car. Right now, I'm looking for about laps 150, 160, 170. That's where I kind of open myself up, maybe risk taking some aero off the car, and that's when I really start looking to make big moves and basically ignoring the fuel number. What's up, Will?
Are there people coming towards pit road again? Oh no, the lap
cars. Lap cars.
Ignore me. And here's one of the other reasons, though, right, Cisco, you don't want to go 100% just yet. You don't want to show your competitors where your strong points are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you've been sandbagging the whole race, you don't want to suddenly show up, with still a third of the race to go and be like, oh yeah, I do have an extra 20 horsepower. You want to save that until the last possible time you can use it, catch your fellow racers off guard, and then try and get the job done. But we'll have to see. I think we're all pretty sure that Paquin's not showing his whole hand in this race yet.
Yeah, indeed. So as we've now got 70 laps to go in this moderation. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, 1 week's time here on RaceSpotTV. It is the 8th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500, and it's here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Cisco, you in?
Oh yeah, I'm in. Randy, you in?
That depends if I'm in the field. if I'm in the field, then no. If I'm not in the field, then yeah, YOLO.
Okay.
Well, you're in either way at that point, so then we'll either see him on track. Maybe we'll have to do a Wally Dallenbeck, commentate from the car. Randy will have to commentate while he's leading the race.
Yeah, I can talk about the in-car tools while I use the in-car tools.
I know how that one's going to end up. Last time I did an in-driver interview at Indianapolis, it was with Taulo in a Grand Am race. And as we went to talk to him, he blew up his engine.
The last time I did an in-driver interview was at the Daytona 24, and I proceeded to get put in the wall.
Well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
I feel like that whole conversation would be, Randy, can you explain to us what weight checker does? Well, yeah, if I hit this button, oh no! That would be the extent to that conversation, I get the feeling.
You can catch that race next week here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live next Saturday, 8:15 p.m. GMT. The greatest spectacle in sim racing. It is the 8th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500. And well, no driver's ever won twice here, Cisco. That's going to be our talking point, because when you run a race for 7 years, you expect someone to have won it at least more than once, especially when we know the talent pool in INDYCAR.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking during the break, a couple guys that we're looking to see what are they going to do. Martin Kroenke, Ray Alfalla, two guys very known throughout the service, but not known for driving the IndyCar. Ray Alfalla, Mr. N-Pass himself, and then Martin Kroenke, the guy who's dominated WCS over in the McLarens. Neither of those guys huge IndyCar guys, but hey, you know what? It's the Indy 500, and if Fernando Alonso's driving, well, I mean, at that point, anybody can win.
And you can catch that again here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live, because no one does Indy like RaceSpotTV. As we are getting ourselves ready then for the restart, it's Michael Gernicke who leads away from Dale Stanley. Paquin in third, Team Hauser in fourth. Your second row, their job here, Cisco, get past row 1 without getting into the wars.
Yeah, and those guys stayed out here. So will the tires be any different? The temperatures might just be a little bit different.
Okay, then. Pace car is in. Here we go. Green flag in the air.
What a jump.
Gerlica's like, bye. See you later, guys.
I'm out, fam.
Is he allowed to go before the green flag?
Yes. There is a restart zone.
Was Dale Stanley just asleep on that restart?
He was.
Not just Dale, everybody.
Wow. That's almost a gap similar to what we saw last week with
After Holgate got the limiter?
Yeah, exactly. That's really similar to what we saw there because Gerlica is gone.
It's
you know,
9/10
talking about this.
Go on.
It's a big gap. This is actually, I think, this benefits both John Paquin and T.M. Hauser because I think they have the pace. They're going to reel in Dale Stanley and Michael Gerlica. Yeah, they have a big lead, but now because they're not stacked up trying to fight with 3 or 4 cars at once, they can just patiently get around. Right now, if you're John Paquin, you can set your sights on Dale Stanley and you can just do it calmly, 1 car at a time. It may not look like it, but I think that really plays into the 2 of their hands.
It doesn't help T.M. Hauser because he's 1 second back there because of the fact that Dale Stanley was so slow in that restart. T.M. Hauser has to be careful not to run him over. They were too wide, too deep there. Robert Grosser, Ronnie Shoemaker, Lucas DeVille, and Morris Wimler there going at it for P number 5 through 9 on track. Paquin looks, thinks about the inside, can't get it. Now, the only thing that T.M. Hauser has to hope for is that Paquin can't get past Dale Stanley this lap, but I think it's going to be very easy as they exit turn number 2. No, it isn't actually. T.M. Hauser might be back in this one all of a sudden, Cisco.
I think if the leaders start going side by side, start racing each other, that's basically, they're going to gift wrap this race for T.M. Hauser. I do agree with Randy, though. Hauser does have the pace to catch those guys either way. But if Gerlica, Stanley, or Paquin, if they start going side by side, you're basically just asking for Hauser to catch you.
Well, into 1. Here they go. Trouble! And they survive.
How?
Okay.
Well done.
Let's just put a replay on, shall we? This is on board of Michael Gerlica as he goes side by side in towards turn number 1. Savory year so far, Randy.
Oh, easily. That should be race over, definitely for both him as well as Dale Stanley, I'm sorry, as well as potentially John Paquin. The fact that he was able to hold that was insane, and then not only the fact that he got traction, the fact that he kept it out of the wall.
Well, here's another look then. Replay on board with Michael Gerlica. Replay on board with Michael Gerlica in towards turn number 1. And how he saved that one, I have no idea. That's Cisco. Absolutely incredible.
But if you're the 57, the 38's on the white line. Where do you want him to go, Will? There's no room there.
To Angie's list. That's where you want him to go.
Apparently, because I don't know if Gerlica thought he was going to clip. No, because he was side by. I don't get that. Unless he got surprised by the fact the 38 actually got to his inside, which he really shouldn't have been because he had just been side by side going down the back straightaway. Gerlica, all of a sudden, he just turned left.
Whoa. They just went 4 wide here at Indy. Down in your mid-pack.
What are this, Indy lights?
This is Henry Bennett, Dennis Carrese, Justin Frelo, Maurice Wimler et al. There's a replay coming up here. We're going to show it to you from an aerial coverage as they exit turn number 2. And we had a driver going high, a driver getting loose. They went 1, 2, 3, technically 4 wide right there into the corner.
Why not? Just.
Yes, Randy, it is Indy Lights. That's what we're saying.
There's only like 60 or so laps left in the Indy 500. Let's just throw it 4 wide and a 3.
It's okay. Though, to be fair, they were 4 wide down, halfway down the back straightaway. They weren't in towards turn 3. Dennis Carisi does work himself there past Jaden Thurlow and Henry Bennett. Bennett now on the outside line versus Jaden Thurlow as they come down. Carciano breaks into 1 once again, Randy.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of good racing happening here up and down the field as it already is. Field, I think, luckily, Will, after that restart, has gotten itself finally calmed down. After the little hiccups that you saw up and down the field, it really stacked up and down, and that's what partially caused that 4 wide moment down the back straightaway. Everyone now getting themselves single file, and they can just log some laps. Run fast, maybe make some passes, but let's not try to one up the 4 wide and down the back straightaway.
So then this is the look back out front. Just to let you know, I've got music for the Cisco. It's going to help.
Is it what I think it's going to be?
Unfortunately, the Angie's List Grand Prix of Indianapolis was yesterday on ABC and watch ESPN. But as the yellow flag comes out here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, once again, it's Tyler Vickery there, turned around, down at turn number 2. But here's a replay on board with Tyler Vickery. Qualifications for the 101st edition of the Indy 500 are next weekend on ABC and watch ESPN. Then 1 week afterwards, it is the 101st edition of the greatest spectacle in racing. Catch that from 12 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Vickery there, just a turn number 1 incident for him, Cisco.
Yeah, just simple. Got into the turn 2 wall, and we've seen it a couple times today. Just got tight, bam, wall. Next thing you know, flipping car. So Vickery already.
Turn 1, my old friend.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to become a thing now, Randy. You know it.
Oh, that's becoming a thing. We need to write lyrics for every track we cover, just so when it happens.
Hello, do one for my old friend.
You could do it for turn 2. Hello, turn 2, my old friend.
What about turn 3?
The bump ruined my quali run again.
Yeah.
Turn 3's easier than turn 1.
If you like to auto-tune, just clip this out, put it against the real song, and send it to us at Randy at iRacing or Randy at iRacing.com. Yes,
Disturbed has nothing on us.
That's going to go through to Randy Cassidy now, and you know it.
I didn't know Randy had an iRacing email.
Pit road's open.
People are coming down pit lane again.
Well, now we're kind of further along.
Should be in, because if they make a pit stop now, it's 1 pit stop to the end.
Fair enough.
Hello, pit lane, my old friend.
No, John hit the pit box, so quick stops for everyone, though.
Yep. And Paquin will come out of the race lead this time by quite easily, actually, by about 2 car lengths over TM Hauser. But it does look as though that is Paquin versus Hauser for this motor race right now, Cisco.
And there was one car who did stay out. It was the 22 of Maurice Vima, who, remember, way back at the beginning of this race, he was up there in the lead. Now, finally, he's worked his way back up there with a little bit of strategy. 22 is on the 13th lap of his stint right now, Will. So he's kind of on this alternate strategy that Patrick Byrne, Andy Morgan, some of those guys are on. I guess we're really starting to see 2 strategies really to how to make it to the end of this. You have one group of cars, which is Vima, and then Byrne, Morgan, the rest of those guys, and most of those guys, I believe, 1 lap down.
Yeah, they're all lap down.
Yeah, but Vima came down with them, and as a result, has inherited the lead from Paquin.
Well, then we will step aside here for a few moments. 58 laps remaining here in the Classic IndyCar Series on RaceSpotTV. And on iRacing Live. When we come back, it's time to really think about going racing. Back in a moment.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, INDYCAR, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch, car right. Watch, damn it. Get ready. Dude, both heads up in that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, sexy. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Tell. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
INDYCAR.
In and out lap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon INDYCAR Series. See what's next.
Almost back, ready for the restart here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live of the classic INDYCAR Series. 56 laps remaining. So we're getting closer now to 75% race distance. Thomas Wilmer at one point led this motor race, then fell back through the field. He's now back up there once again, and he will take the restart as we take you to RaceSpotTV fan immersion. Paquin beats him in towards one there, Cisco.
Yeah, and the 22, once again, leader gets a terrible restart there. And as a result, Paquin back to the lead, but TM Hauser all over the gearbox into the inside as they head towards turn 3.
And TM Hauser will take that race lead away. Action on the restart lap here. And a fantastic restart for both John Paquin and TM Hauser. Not a good restart for the driver on Morris Wimmer. Look at the traffic behind them right now. They are 3, 4 wide, and this is more like Talladega, Cisco.
And it was Thurlow, Jaden Thurlow in the 59 got a piece of a wall, and that's why everyone suddenly jumped on a line coming out of turn 4. He did a little bit of a Hildebrand there, got into the wall, the safer barrier there. They had to go 3-4 wide just to avoid him.
Well, let's get ourselves a replay of that one quickly.
They're still fanning out 3 wide. They've been 3 wide almost a lap and a half.
I mean, look at this one then. Through turn number 4. This is more Indy lights here, Randy.
This is just insane. I'm still staying live with this, but they're just this field is so stacked up with drivers, and with the different pit strategy, you have some guys that are quicker than others. The quick guys trying to get through, the other guys trying to defend, and because of that, this entire middle point of the field is just a complete hornet's nest. And meanwhile, if you're TM Hauser and John Paquin, you're fighting hard, but it seems relatively simple.
Last time I saw anyone drop so many positions on a start or restart of the race, it was Salma Ladak in 2012 in a Grand Am race, Randy.
Party at Salma's?
Indeed so. As we've now got ourselves Dennis Carisi versus Dale Stanley going at it, and also Jaden Thurlow versus John Elmsweimer going towards turn number 4. We've got a tag on the wall there for Jaden Thurlow. That's not going to help him. Robert Grosser, Timo Risignemi going side by side in towards 1. Orange car up 1 position, Cisco.
And he's going to go for more as he's going to jump to the inside of the Pippa Man-inspired number 30. Had to back out of it, and the 30 gets a huge run on the outside. Isiniemi showing why, indeed, he has one of the fastest cars out there and why he started on pole today. An amazing move on the outside. Just made it stick, but still side by side right behind him. Vima still not out of the woods yet. John Elmswire and Robert Grosser right now in that battle.
This is why I love Indy, Randy, because there are times in the race when it becomes unpredictable like this, but you've got to give it credit to the drivers there. They had that spectacular 2.5 laps. No one put a foot wrong. Perfect driving.
Yeah, there was a couple scrapes of the wall, but no one got into anybody. No big incident when very easily could have happened, like you said just now. Absolutely perfect driving from everybody. Yeah, some people may not have come out from that the way they wanted. They may have lost some spots, maybe not played the traffic as well as they could have. But the most important thing, no one hit anybody and no one caused the big one.
John Elmsweimer up into 9th place, just past where Morris Wilmler. Morris, I think his tyres is the thing that cost him that. 20-lap tyres just doesn't work at this racetrack here, Cisco, today.
No, it doesn't. He's slipped back all the way to about the 10th position right now. So the 22 Justin Wilson machine not doing well for Vima there. He's fallen way back. Meanwhile, side by side, Dale Stanley back at it again. This time, Timo Isiniemi. They're side by side. Isiniemi's going to get a piece of the wall. A big contact with the 41. He's going to come back on track. Caution is going to be out.
Yeah, so that is going to be 7th caution of the day?
Think so.
Replay up on your screen right now. Timo Isiniemi, then let's right on board of him. And then let's show you the view from the aerial coverage in towards turn number 1. So we're going to stop it here. You can see as they come down in towards turn number 1, Isiniemi is the number 30 machine on the outside line. And then you've got yourself the number 38 machine, just moving up the racetrack a little bit. Then Isiniemi can't make the corner. Makes contact with the number 41 machine, hard into the wall, both drivers out. And that's the reason why the yellow flag came out, because you just see there, to show you that yellow line, that he was just running himself 2 wheels above that white line. If he had run below that yellow line, we would have stayed green, Cisco.
Hello, turn 1 wall, my old friend, again. We're going to keep talking about it.
He didn't even put any effort into that.
Is this going to become a new RaceSpotTV t-shirt before too long?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, scene of the crash, my old friend.
Yeah. We will step aside here for a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen. Pit stops, if they happen, we'll bring them to you.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, INDYCAR, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Okay, that was unexpected. TM Hauser comes on towards pit road there, Randy.
Yeah, that's really odd in my opinion, because they didn't have a very long run since they last came down pit lane, only a handful of laps. And really, I think regardless of what happened, they can make it to the end on the same amount of stops anyways, so seems kind of pointless if you ask me.
Unless,
if anything, he's unless what?
Unless it's a caution the next 15 laps or so, and then he'll make up a good 4 seconds and maybe get himself the race lead away again.
Yeah, but is he going to be able to drive his way through this entire pack in the first 10 or so laps? We've seen a handful of drivers that were up near the front get shuffled down the order and not be able to come back from it. Timo Isonen is an example.
Yep. I think with a shorter field though, Cisco, maybe Hauser's got it. And Hauser has been a driver that's been able to run in clean air and in traffic here today.
And he is running 12th, so it's not like he's 20th or anything like that, but I have to wonder,
he's also back into top up.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I think you're on the mark, Will. I think he's banking on another caution, and he's hoping when that caution comes, he stays out, inherits the lead, and races to the end.
Yeah.
I think that's what the 56 is thinking.
He will need 3 cautions from now to make it to the end. That's a Will Vincent strategy call coming up for you. And that is a push at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if I like this. This is just such a shot in the dark, because right now if you're TM Hauser, you only have 1 win conditions, and that's a bunch of yellows where people have to come down pit lane and you basically just pass everybody. And even then,
he could still just come on towards pit road when everyone else does in 20 laps time and make up some positions, and I'm not going to give any disrespect to the likes of Tim Miller, Caton Bombers batch here today, but this is a strategy I'd see from them, not from TM Hauser, who's led the most laps.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is. This is, to me, this is the strategy you pull if you've been running 10th or top 10 at best all day. This is what you go for. If you have the quickest car out there on the racetrack, why would you ever in the world? It makes no sense to give yourself a strategy that really only gets you a win under one situation.
Because he's hoping, the only other thing I can think of, he's going to have less time on pit road because he's not going to have to fuel the car
3
as
seconds.
much.
So what?
Yeah, but it's not going to be enough for him to go
that's not
through
enough
the field.
time. Yeah, I agree. That's all right. Well, I guess we'll have to see. Maybe you know something we don't. I don't know. Maybe he has that reserve fuel tank installed on that car that made it through inspection.
We're not talking about the 1994 Penske here, okay? But we're going to get the one to go this time by. It's going to be Paquin who leads the way. Shoemate second, Laville third, Garisi in fourth. And here's the thing, actually, Randy, it's worth noting, outside your top 2, it really is anyone's game.
It really is. I mean, you have Paquin, you have Shoemake. Shoemake has a fantastic car. Rolled off 33rd, currently sits in second. So he's had a fantastic run all day. And you have Lucas Laville, who, let's be honest, Dennis Garis has had some hiccups throughout this race. That Ganassi car, Laville, while he hasn't been able to get out front and lead, that car has been just quietly sitting in the top 5 all day.
Down the back straightaway they go once again then. Paquin and Shoemaker. What a situation it would be, Cisco, if you can come from 33rd to 1st in this event. And Shoemaker, you know what? He can hold his own here.
I mean, he's shown us he can hold his own right now, and what's funny is you look at the I rating for him, 24.37. The guy leading this race has almost double his I rating. So what a shot in the dark it would be if Shoemaker was able to get the win here. But he's shown he has a very quick Honda out there, Will. I think that 06, that Hinchcliffe machine, I think he's got something for the leaders here, and I think he could walk away with this win here.
Yeah, and it's a sad thing, of course. We think about who took over Dan Weldon's car in the end, and it was the 06 machine of James Hinchcliffe after 2011 was complete and the death of Dan Weldon. But hey, fairy tales are written when opportunities are given to you. Shoemaker versus Paquin. Waiting. Green flag. Let's go racing. One more time. Paquin gets a very good early jump then. Shoemaker, very bad jump, and he just moves across from one Ganassi to another there, Cisco.
Yeah, all you can see in the rearview mirror is targets right now because both Ganassi cars side by side, and Laville gets a little bit of the apron there. But hello, Shoemaker, where did he come from?
He's looking to the race lead. Shoemaker from 33rd up into 1st here, Randy.
What a jump by him, but John Paquin's not done yet. Works the cutback into 3, into 4. He gets down to the inside. Now Randy Shoemaker. Here comes the first of the Ganassi cars. It's going to be Dennis Garice. Gets to P2. Lucas Laville likely also looking to follow suit, going down into 1. Actually, will he go down to the inside? No. They'll stay single file. Randy Shoemaker will get the lane to get down low. Move him back 2 spots. Laville will stay where he is right now in 4th, and they continue to fight for 5th behind.
TM Hauser is half a second behind TM Miller in P number 11. He needs to get a move on, Cisco.
Yeah, he needs to get that 56 in gear. He needs to start passing cars, but the problem is Tim Miller a little bit further up the roadway, so Hauser's got to catch Miller, pass him, and then he's got a whole pack of cars to have to deal with here. But I look back towards the front of that lead, and Shoemaker not making up any time on the leader right now. He's still really more under threat than from Laville than he is a threat to Dennis Garice here, and Garice looks all set to just ride in 2nd right now.
You know what my good friend JR would say right now, Cisco?
What would he say?
Business has just picked up.
Oh yes, it has.
Okay, some
40
Bombers
laps
back
to go.
Yep, 43 laps to go. Okay, the Bombers back there. In P number 9, Michael Gerlicke in 10th, Tim Miller in 11th, Tim Hauser in 12th. Although Tim Hauser has gained a 10th in a lap. That's not enough for Tim Hauser here, Randy. He needs more.
Especially with traffic, he might gain a 10th here and there. He's going to start losing time though. When he gets back to the back of Tim Miller and needs to make a move, that pass is going to cost him a couple tenths. And that's the thing. Every single one of these cars, except unless they jump out of the way, which none of them should, are going to cost TM Hauser time. That's why I don't like this strategy by Hauser at all. It is just an all-in on a random sequence of events, which doesn't seem to look like it's going to happen. I think TM Hauser handed this race to either John Paquin and Dennis Garice, regardless of what happens here.
42 laps remaining in this event right now. Paquin leads away. Paquin has led the 2nd most laps of the day now, Cisco, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I believe so. I think he's only rivaled by, well, the guy who was up there earlier on leading a ton of laps. I'm trying to find the lap chart right now. We'll see if we can get that up, but I believe he's up to 2nd most right now. I don't think he has the most laps led, though.
No, and Dennis Garice in 2nd place, of course, knows what it's like to be here in big-time Indy 500s. Lucas Laville runs in 4th place right now. Dennis Garice had stood at the top of the mountain before. None of these, actually, it's worth noting that John Paquin, we laud his talent so much here. He's never won an iRacing Indy 500 here. And he's always had bad luck, Randy, but today he's running a perfect race.
He really has been. He's been mostly flawless, couple little mistakes on pit lane, but they haven't really hurt him. Maybe he got all his bad luck shuffled out in qualifying, and which is why we saw him start so far deep down the order in 24th today. But still, is he going to be able to get there? Will he be able to stay up there near the front? Dennis Gary seems to have good pace and is just calmly sitting behind him, as well as both Randy Shoemake, Lucas Seville, and even Dale Stanley. Everyone in the top 5 right now, Will, I think has a fair shot of winning this motor race depending on how the cards fall.
Yeah, and the only reason why I wouldn't make that a larger gap is because of the fact that everyone else is really in the same trust. Sorry, I'm going to say it again. Morris Wumler will be on pit road in the next 2 lap time, Cisco.
Yeah, and that 22, that's a strategy that just isn't, it's not going to work out for him because he's going to lose so much time. And judging by my fuel numbers here, 33 laps, that's not going to get him to the end of this thing.
It won't. He will have to make 2 more pit stops. Morris has lost out big time, taking that gamble. And it didn't work out for him, really, Cisco, because from the time that the green flag waved, he was down to P10 in 2 laps.
Yeah, and although he's going to run 6 right now, he's not going to make enough time on his own to be able to gain any time on the leaders because the leaders are running in that pack. They have the benefit of slipstream. Vima won't have that. He's going to be stuck a man on his own once he leaves pit road. So honestly, I think the 22 was banking on a few more cautions, but it just hasn't rolled out, at least so far, the way he wants.
John Angelsweimer, number 88 machine, gets past the Fisher Racing car. The Dollar General machine there of Cater Bomber's batch. Bomber's batch now going to go side by side with TM Hauser on the inside line. This is more like it from TM Hauser. P number 9 into P. No, not P number 8. Yes, it is actually. Okay, that's more like it, Randy, for him.
That's what he needs to be doing. He needs to be making up as many spots as he can, as quickly as he can, and that puts him in P8. So now, going down the back straightaway, the thing is that pass cost him a little bit of time on the 88 machine, so now he's going to have to spend some time reeling that gap back in, but time really is not on TM Hauser's side right now, as we're quickly approaching 35 laps to go.
We are, and that fuel window will be open in about 4 laps' time. Question is, who's going to be brave and try and come in at the very start of that fuel window? Hayden might do.
I think that'd be smart, because here at Indy, if you're up near the pointy end of the field, you can pit and not lose a lap, correct?
Yes. I mean, the lines, for example, of INDYCAR, who has, by the way, just come, I believe, on towards pit road.
Caution.
Yellow.
Oh, now it's going to get interesting.
Thurlow, one of the Lotus cars, I think.
Oh, he didn't hit anything, thank goodness, but guess where he got loose?
Hello, turn 1, my old friend.
God, we are going to slam this into the ground and tell us not funny anymore.
He didn't hit a thing, though. Caden Thurlow. What a good save by him there not to. He does need some fresh tires and maybe a fresh suit after that one, Cisco.
No, that was a nice 360 there for Thurlow, but like you said, didn't hit anything. Remember, he caught that wall off of turn 4 not that many laps ago when he was in that hornet's nest with Bennett and a bunch of other guys. Yeah. So Thurlow, maybe not the Indy 500 he was hoping for today.
So is the window open?
We're on the very edge. To quote Lady Gaga, we are on the edge of glory right now.
So here's the question. If you're TM Hauser, what do you do?
Well, if you come in now,
the Hauser's only win condition is to get a train of yellows, make it so he doesn't have to pit. I think if you're TM Hauser, if you come down pit road, why did you come down the last time?
Right, TM Hauser, if he came in right now alongside everyone else, he would come out in P3 by my recollection of how closely the pack is right now. And TM Hauser will be putting pressure on all these drivers to be as close together to everyone as they possibly can be. In fact, we're going to go on board with TM Hauser right now. I would say if they pit now and they are cautious on the way out of pit road, they can make it to the end.
Do you fill up with 1 to go?
No, you should be okay. Unless you're down at the very rear.
In the back.
Yeah, unless you're at the very rear of the field. TM House, you can see that he deliberately slowed down to then speed up to get as close as he could as possible on towards pit road. He shouldn't win this battle off pit road. What he should do, however, is, by my recollection, come out around P3, P4. And that would be good enough for him. One driver out, two drivers out, three drivers out. This isn't working there for the driver, TM Hauser. He's lost 2 positions. He's only in P number 7 right now.
That's not enough. He's going to have to drive through all those cars, Will.
He needs at least another caution to make this work for him.
I think he needed to stay out here because it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense to me because he was the race leader basically, running second. Him and Paquin were always going to be up there near the front. Yeah. And he made the last 45 to 50 laps of this race as hard on himself as he possibly could have.
You think that's something that he wanted?
But
I mean, I know there are some drivers out there that like to be that guy, that like to be that 50-lap hero to drive from the back to the front.
But the biggest race of the year for
I know, but I mean, there's no logic in what he's doing. Unless he just decided I want to pit just for the sake of pitting. Or maybe there was damage on the car we didn't see. I don't know.
We're going to step aside for a minute.
We're
going to step aside for a minute, work it all out. We'll be back with more after this.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him. Jam it. Get ready. Dude, heads up in that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yeah! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, sexy. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Toe. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
INDYCAR.
In and out lap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. Hit me. Inside, outside.
2017 Verizon INDYCAR Series. See what's next.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed the month of May on iRacing and RaceSpotTV so far, but we still got one big race to come after this, and that is, of course, the 8th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500. You've seen the drama, the spills, the thrills here today. We'll do it one more time next Saturday, 8:15 p.m. GMT. Restart time, Cisco. Talk me through it.
Restart time, well, most of the stories haven't changed. The only one that has is, what is Team Hauser got to do to get through this field? Because he put himself in this scenario. He's the only one at this point to get himself out of it.
We're going to ride this restart on board of Team Hauser, actually, because it's going to be fun. Let's ride it on board. RaceSpotTV fan immersion. Three cars, one lap there for Team Hauser, Randy.
It was a great first lap there from Team Hauser to get himself back up into the top 4. That 56 machine definitely has speed, but now everything goes up a little bit. He has to get himself by Dennis Garice, Randy Shoemake, and then he has to get through John Paquin, who's currently gapping the field.
As Dennis Garice and Shoemake go side by side, this is going to allow Paquin the opportunity to maybe start driving away Cisco.
And that's what he's trying to do right now. He's opened up that gap right now. As it sits, it's about 0.4 of a second, 0.45 right now for Paquin. And you can see him, he's trying to break that draft, doing everything he can to pull away from these guys. So far, so good for him. But he's got to make sure, if those guys start going single file, he's got to open up that gap. He's got to use that advantage as best as he can.
And actually, Team Hauser's struggling right now behind Randy Shoemake. And Shoemake tags the wall on the exit of turn number 2. 1, 2, 3 wide. Almost going 4. They are 3 wide behind him as well, actually. As you would just have a look down in your pack. And they all survive. Just about. But wow, Hauser had a bit of an incident there going past Shoemake. Shoemake had a horrible run out of turn number 2 there. Running on board of him. Again, on replay, this is what happened. Hello, turn 2, my old friend.
I clipped the wall and lost my podium position again.
As Furlow loses positions, they are 3 wide through turn 2. They are 4 wide, 5 wide through turn number 2 right now as they head themselves down the back straightaway. This is pandemonium going on down in your mid-pack right now, Cisco. Replays coming up because, well, you don't often see legitimate 4 or 5 wide there.
This is not going to end well if these guys keep doing this, Will. I'll buy 4 wide maybe for a lap, but if they keep doing it, at some point or another, someone's going to make a mistake, and there's going to be a lot of wrecked race cars.
Right. And the one person who doesn't want to be seeing this right now is that 78 of Karsten Brodry. We didn't really talk about this, but during the caution period, that car, the 78, is the only one that came down that extra time and topped up on fuel a little bit. I think that 78 machine is the only one, if it stays green, that is a sure thing of being able to make it to the end. The fact that all these fights are happening the way they are on their out there right now, people fanning 4 or 5 wide, increasing the likelihood of a potential yellow. If you're the 78 machine, that's the last thing you want to see. You want to be clean and green to the end.
Caden Bomber's batch is here. Unfortunately, his race is over. Caden, what happened to you?
That was the last stop of the race, so I laid the wings down and said I'm going for it. And I got freight trained and I said I'm not going to let anyone else pass me. I'm going to crash or hold the spot, and I crashed.
Well, that's the obvious way of talking about it from your perspective. How has 500 been overall, though? It's been tough, hard racing throughout the field here today.
Yeah, it's been good racing, a bit edgy, but I mean, I came from quite far in the back because I missed the initial pole day, had to qualify for bump day, so it was going good up till then. I'll be disappointed with the result, but I have nothing to hang my head on.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us there, Caleb Bonus Batch. We might get work trying a victory at some point as well, but this is what I wanted to talk about. TM Hauser is 0.8 of a second behind Dennis Garisi right now, and that is, to quote Lady Gaga again, right on the edge of that draft range there, Cisco.
Yeah, and we talked about it, and keep in mind the draft range for these IRO5 is a little bit different than the DW12, and Randy, you can speak more on this. That draft range we talked about, it was about 9/10, I believe, in the DW12. It was about the limit that you could go before you started getting the benefits of draft, and Hauser, as it sits right now, isn't quite there. Oh, no, yellow.
Yellow, and Patrick Byrne. Replay.
Andy?
Turn 1. Well,
my old friend.
And Andretti car's out. I was going to say, Andretti car out of the race at turn 1. Never happened before that, has it?
And he got a little bit of an assist there too.
Yeah, he did.
He actually hit the wall on the straightaway. Before he hit the wall at the yard of brakes. Before he ever actually got to turn 1.
Well, let's have a look at the replay then. A little bit further back. This is through turn number 3. On board of that number 27 machine then. He drove the curb through turn 4. So I didn't get to start with. Then made contact with Tim Miller coming past the yard of bricks. That's the contact you were talking about. Then turn number 1.
Umpire got a little bit loose. I think that's what happened, or got tight. Either way, that car wasn't happy. Came off the white line right into the 27.
Right, it will take an idiot now to come on towards pit road, so we'll be back in a moment.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, watch him, watch him, watch him. Damn it! Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Tell. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
INDYCAR.
The in and out lap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon INDYCAR Series. See what's next.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, INDYCAR, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them four abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Don't forget qualifications for the 101st Indianapolis 500 catch you on ABC, BT Sport in the United Kingdom, and watch ESPN around the world. The 101st edition of the Indianapolis 500 will also be on ABC, as well as the Jewels in Detroit. ABC, of course, presenting 6 of the races of the RaceSpotTV INDYCAR Series for 2017, including the center stage, the 101st edition of the iRacing Indianapolis 500, presented by Paid Motor Oil. John Paquin still leads the way. Here's Cisco. Lights going off on top of that pace car this time by.
Lights going out, and that means, well, you said business was picking up. Well, Will, I think you can turn that knob to 11 right now because it's about to kick off. Throw fuel out the window. We don't care anymore. This is for the Indy 500. This is for all the marbles for these guys. They're going to be going nuts out there, as if they haven't already.
You can't throw the fuel out the window because that's going to mix in the marbles on the outside line and create a caution. Have you not watched ESPN before, Cisco?
Well, I think we need some sort of graphic to demonstrate what the fuel does, and we need to look at it for like 20 seconds.
Okay. In the meanwhile, Tyler Vickery is here. Unfortunately, his day is done in the CIS Indianapolis 500. Tyler, what happened, buddy?
As I know you guys showed it earlier, turn 1 got a little loose, tagged the wall. From when I looked at the replay again, I had one of the other cars, last I saw it was a yellow car. I want to say Andy Morgan got in the back of me and spun me around after I tagged the wall. He just didn't check up quickly enough and spun me around. If I didn't make a mistake earlier in the race where I wasn't adjusting for my wing in time, I probably would have had at least still been in the race with the fast repair. But either way, I can't complain. It was a good race overall until I started trying to fight with lap cars, trying to catch up to the lead pack and get around to get my lap back after my first incident. So can't complain with how I finished. Would have liked to have actually finished the race, but well.
Well, Tyler Vickery there, coming home out of this event. RaceSpot Cat is back at the $450 suits. Yeah, indeed. Paquin, Garisi, Hauser, Laville, Wimler here. That caution helped TM Hauser. Green flag in the air. Here we go once again. TM Hauser will want to get himself past Dennis Garisi if he can. In towards turn number 1. He looks down to the inside and he does so there, Cisco. Bold move by TM Hauser to move himself up now into P number 2.
That was one of the Foyt cars, I think, jumped out behind us, the 38, so he bailed out of the pack early. Problems with Dale Stanley. He's out of this thing from 5th place. Game over for the NTB car.
As here comes Hauser to the race lead, past John Paquin right now. So Hauser is a man possessed on a mission here, Randy.
He is, but John Paquin gets the cut back down to the bottom on the exit of corner number 4, and he has a bit of a run. Hauser's going to lead this lap at the line for sure, but the 6 machine is going to have the inside line into 1. John Paquin, can he make it work? Down on the bottom, we've seen the outside be strong here all day. They still stay side by side into corner number 2. Paquin pulls up alongside, but the momentum goes the way of Hauser. Now, here comes the Ganassi cars. Grease on the high side, Laville on the high side. He's going to pull up alongside Paquin. Can Maurice Wilma get there as well?
That's the issue when you take the downforce off later on in a race. Let's go.
Yeah, you get that run and it just stalls out on the outside, and it's pandemonium up front. It's a huge wad of cars. They're all nose to tail right here. Garisi ran out of steam, and here comes Paquin here. He's going to jump to the inside of that. Number 9 not going to have anything, though. Backs out of it, and the 9 has to be on defense here all of a sudden. He was on the offense, and then the run ran out.
Yep, so there we're on board with John Paquin once again. Number 6 machine. As it is now the final 17 laps of this motor race. Tim Hauser has played it defensively every time he has led this motor race. He leads once again here. He has led the most laps here today. But now, Dennis Garisi has come alive out of turn number 4. You thought that Garisi was going to try and make the move. He couldn't do so. Now here comes John Paquin. Once again, this time he should go down to the inside and should clear Garisi back up into P2. Laville past Garisi as well there, Randy.
That was just another, again, we saw Dennis Garisi catch the car in the wall off of corner number 2. Another driver involved upside down, just down on the apron. This might stay green, depending on what happens. That's going to be 2 drivers' days races done today, and it looks, by the looks of things, we will stay green.
It was Morris Wimler there involved in that one as well. Let's replay that one through turn number 1. On board in Morris Wimler right now. The 2 target Chip Ganassi machines going side by side. Number 9 machine versus number 22 car. That's the Justin Wilson machine up and around. Wilmer out of the race. The Dixon car out of this event as well. So now there are 3 to play for your race lead with 14 laps to go at the line. Aston Chowder is here to join us on RaceSpotTV in 1 moment's time, as now we've got ourselves Paquin versus Tim Hauser. Paquin's going to have to look for the opportunity. This could well be it, but no, he will stay behind for the moment. Aston Chowder, your race didn't go the way you wanted it to. You're out early in the CIS Indy 500. Talk us through it. Or not. As there we are. As we've got ourselves Paquin versus TM Hauser right now. That scrap is going on. Still, Lucas Seville, though, Cisco, is stood right there in that mix. And those 3 drivers are still pulling away from Robert Grosser.
Yeah, they're doing a great job right now, Will, and Grosser just doesn't have the run to be able to do anything, but they're running out of time because that time by, well, Will, they're running out of laps. They only got 13 to go, 12 at the line.
Yeah, as they are now all good on fuel, all good on tires. Paquin looking, seeking, looking for the opportunity. Defensive line being taken by TM Hauser in towards turn number 3. TM Hauser really wants this one. So does John Paquin. So does Lucas Seville. And the good thing to note, they've got 1.5 seconds over everyone else. Paquin out of turn number 3 and turn number 4 towards the line. 5/100ths of a second there, Randy.
Identical lap times as well coming through by both John Paquin and TM Hauser. 40.405s. Lucas Laville just a half a tenth or so off that pace. I think John Paquin still being a little bit patient here. I think there's been a couple points where he should have been able to get down to the inside and at least have a look on TM Hauser, but he just hasn't done so. That said, through turns 1 and 2 this last time around, John Paquin lost a bit of speed over TM Hauser, and the 56 machine managed to open a gap as we're coming to 11 laps to go when they get to the stripe.
Yeah. Paquin, TM Hauser, Lucas Seville then are your top 3. They're your top 8, bottom of your screen right now. You know what the funny thing is right now, Cisco? You'd normally, if you're at ESPN, start getting the side-by-side shot with the wives and girlfriends on one side of your screen. I'm going to do that for you very, very quickly. There we are. Stick figure.
Can we just get a $10 donation?
Yeah.
Boom. Done. As we got yourself then. Falo, unfortunately, you're showing at the front of your field. He's not leading this motor race. He's actually on pit road. He is out there, Cisco.
Yeah, he is out, and of course, Randy, do want to take note, as we noticed, Ashley Crowder, $10 donation, thank you very much. Super chat, new to YouTube there. But back to the race, of course. We'll run out of time. Well, John Paquin, we're waiting to see when does that move come. When does he make that move for the lead?
Last lap. It's going to have to be last lap in a motor race.
I think you have to make it a little before that in case you get a late race yellow. You don't want to be in a situation where you were running second wheel and you had chances to get the race lead and a yellow comes out that end of it. I think if you're John Paquin, you need to do it a little bit earlier, aim for maybe 5 to go, 4 to go. As he gets a bit of a run and Hauser actually tags the wall, this is his opportunity. He needs to go for it now.
Yeah, here is John Paquin. Look out, he's pinching TM Hauser to the outside line and towards turn number 1. Hauser's going to try and work the outside line. Very good run there by Hauser. Wouldn't allow Paquin to push him up into the corner as Lucas DeVille remains in the 3rd place right now. So these 3 drivers, you cannot put anything between them. Of course, Lucas DeVille, he still remains there, Cisco, in that 3rd place.
LaVille is not out of this by any shot here. Once those two go side by side, LaVille could very well determine who's going to win this race by who he goes with the draft. But the problem with Hauser is he's running a little bit higher up the track, and he's going to hit the wall pretty soon if he keeps making moves like that.
Carson Bordelais versus Michael Gerlicke, by the way, is going on for P8 and 9. Bordelais was trying to make the move on the outside line. Couldn't do so, Randy, because Gerlicke closed the door.
Yeah, it was a good attempt there, but everyone right now, the intensity has just been kicked up a notch. It doesn't matter if you're racing for first or if you're racing for a top 10. Everyone's defending harder. Everyone's racing harder. Everyone's going to get more aggressive. You see again into 3 and 4, TM Hauser trying to give John Paquin as big of an arrow push as he can through the corner. Paquin closes through the short chute and off of 4. I think he gets a little bit of a run. Will he be able to get close enough? No. The speed just basically equalizes. We get 7 laps to go at the line.
We've got less than 20 miles to go now in this motor race. Paquin is in 2nd place. TM Hauser has led the most laps here today, but Paquin was arguably the odds-on favourite coming in. So we've been joking here a little bit here about the wives and girlfriend split screen. Time to do another one here, Cisco, because Paquin is in 2nd place, and well, right now he is only 0.2 of a second behind TM Hauser in that battle for the race lead.
And we're looking to see when he can, he's looking for any opportunity he can get. We've seen TM Hauser get a little bit loose off of turn 4 a couple times, but it hasn't been enough for Paquin to take advantage of. I think Paquin, I don't want to say he has to make that move on the last lap, but Randy, I feel like he's gearing towards that hello Hauser wall.
That was close. That was really close. As Lucas DeVille is now coming in as well.
I thought he tagged it right there.
The 3 drivers at the front of this field are now separated by 1.5 tenths of a second. Let's not discount Lucas DeVille here. And in fact, as this goes on, you've got to start thinking about Lucas DeVille more and more, running aboard of Lucas DeVille, because this is the perfect vantage point. Paquin looking down to the inside of TM Hauser. No, not close enough through turn number 1. TM Hauser leaves just enough room there, and that now will compromise the speed through turn number 2 just a little bit. DeVille remains in 3rd place though, Cisco. Do not discount him just yet.
No, like I said, he could determine who wins this race, or he could make a 3rd line coming out of turn 4 last lap and try and win it himself. So LaVille not out of this by any stretch. He's still in this pack. Whoever he goes with is probably going to determine who's going to win this race. But Paquin, I think he was laying back. I think he's going to try and make a charge here in a lap. I think he laid back to get that draft to run to the front.
To talk about what Randy was saying earlier, a caution from now on will end this race, Randy.
Yes, it will, and that's the main thing if you're John Paquin. A yellow here ends your dreams. Just as well, if you're Lucas LaVille, you'll have to wait either till next week or maybe till next year, depending on how the schedules pan out. But T.M. Hauser is starting to stretch a bit of a gap over the top two. I think that inside line, Will, that he took into one, John Paquin did, I don't think that was necessary, and I think it may have cost him. He wasn't close enough to pass Hauser, and LaVille wasn't close enough to make a move on him. He went to the inside for some reason, and it opened up just enough space for T.M. Hauser to give him a little bit of breathing room. That said, Paquin gets a run off of 4. 3 laps to go at the stripe.
7.5 miles left to go then in this motor race. A caution would now end it. T.M. Hauser has led the most laps here today, but John Paquin is one of those drivers that you cannot discount with this shorter distance left to go in an Indy 500. He can strike from nowhere, and as they come up the north end of the racetrack, Cisco, he is very close to T.M. Hauser. He's just got to find a way through.
He's just got to find a way through, and Hauser was a little bit off the corner there, and for Paquin going to try it, he's going to jump to the high side this time. Will he be able to get a nose in there? Maybe just a smidge. Hauser's going to cut it off, though, and as they head into 2 laps to go at the line, Paquin, no, LaVille!
Oh, my word! It's over! Just like that. P2, P3 in the wall. Replay. You honestly feel horrible having a race as fun as this end up like that. One more look from the rear of T.M. Hauser. Hauser's going to win here today. I'm wondering if T.M. Hauser just came across Paquin and did enough to slow Paquin down, but I can't see it from that angle. I need to have one more look on board with that driver of John Paquin. Here we are. Let's listen in then. This is from turn number 4, John Paquin. Yeah, Tim Hauser didn't cause Paquin to slow down there. You couldn't hear anything in the engine note at all. That was between Paquin and Lucas LaVille. But wow, what a way to end this motor race. Unfortunately, it ended under yellow. And it's not often I call one of these races under yellow, Randy.
No, it's not. It was a close incident. It was an unfortunate incident. But here comes T.M. Hauser, just a few hundred yards left to go.
So there is T.M. Hauser towards the checkered flag. T.M. Hauser will win the Classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500 under yellow, just the way like Dario Franchitti did before and just the way that Dan Weldon did in 2005. Of course, after the 2011 Indy 500 race, it was the case that the yellow had come out because of the crash from J.R. Hildebrand. It was a crash actually very similar to Takuma Sato, Dario Franchitti in 2012 here, Cisco. That was the one that we all saw.
That was the one we all saw, and heartbreak. And you have to keep in mind, LaVille's going to finish second without a front wing unofficially right now, so I'm sure the stewards will take a look at that. But T.M. Hauser, it doesn't matter. Everything happened behind him, and he gets the checkered flag. Amazing race for the driver of the Paul Tracy Motegi Racing Arma Energy number 56.
Yeah, indeed so. T.M. Hauser wins big here today in the Classic IndyCar Series Indy 500, presented by Logical Innovative Engineering. And there is a look at your final race results. Team Hauser wins then. Under yellow from Lucas Laville. Henry Bennett in third. Randy Shoemaker in fourth. Grosef fifth. Michael Gerlicke in sixth. John Elsheimer in seventh. Carson Bodway in eighth. Tim Miller in ninth. And Dale Stanley rounding out your top 10. Then is Josh Van der Ven, James Payne, Jack Turner, and Hannes Pitkanen. And there's the remainder of your results. John Paquin, P number 15, after that crash with 2 to go. Sam Winton in P16, Kenan Thurlow, Dennis Carisi, Maris Wimnia, and Gator Bombers back, trying to get your top 20. And there's the remainder up on your screen. We're going to step aside, take some breaths. Back with more after this.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Beginner Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR eSports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing eSport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Two Indy 500s here in the month of May are now in the books, but there's still one more to go. That is next Saturday, 8:15 p.m. GMT, home of Indy. That is RaceSpotTV. As we welcome you back then to post-race coverage of the classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500, where I'm going to be honest about this, Cisco. I was looking forward to a last lap dash, and we kind of lost it there. It does feel when you end a race here at Indy under yellow that it all gets taken away from you.
And it is unfortunate the race did have to end under yellow, but still, if you look at the battle, that was a great battle leading up to it. We had a great race through this whole thing. Lots of different things happened. Overall, I think it was a pretty satisfying 500. We had all sorts of stuff going on.
We did. We had plenty of action going on up and down the field. Driver who led the most laps also won the motor race here today. TM Hauser, congratulations on winning the classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500.
Finally. Hi everyone. It was great. It was a great run. Car was fine. Car was perfect. Prepared by the team. Finally did it.
You versus John Payton was the story of the day. My first question though, why the beep did you come on towards pit road when you did with 35 to go?
You mean the second pit stop in a row? Yeah, it was a strategy error. Somehow I miscalculated everything, and Georg now just told me that it was a mistake and that I should refuel. So I checked the standings and I decided that it would be better to refill now and blow through the field.
Well, you do end up though taking victory. I mean, I want you to talk me through your strategy here today. Did you change downforce levels? Did you change the way you approach certain phases of this event?
Yeah, we changed a lot actually. We changed from the wing settings, mainly aero, and also for the pressure changes on the tires. And I'm not sure, but the track got faster at the end, more and more. I haven't seen anything yet, stats and anything. I don't know which was the fastest lap, who did it. I really wonder. It was great, and I would wish that we could race the race to the finish with together with Joe Bakin, and yeah, I would love to talk to him pretty soon. I would wonder if he would even have been able to give it a shot. He tried. I saw him a few times. He was always close. And it was my heart just beat me almost to death.
First of all, Morris Winner took the fastest lap number 187, 40.241. Tell me what happened in your brain when that yellow came out with a lap and a half to go.
Actually, to be honest, I thought, no, that's not a real Indy 500 win. That was my first thought, and then I thought, okay, how many laps it? Yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah, and it still feels kind of not right, to be honest. And yeah, I wish we could have finished this. If it would happen in the last lap, that would have been no problem. I don't know if it was my mistake. I may have done a move not really that fair on the last second straight, third straight. I'm not sure. I saw him in the mirror. He tried to take it on the outside, and I was kind of in the middle, and he put his nose inside. But I tried to give him space when I hear my spotter that he's on the outside. I have to check the replay.
Barrio has that line. It's called the middle of the racetrack. You get one lane on the inside, one lane on the outside, and that's it. You work with it. But you have won the Logical Innovative Engineering Classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500 here today. First of all, who do you want to give a shout out to? And secondly, is there a bottle of milk in that fridge waiting for you?
It's not a bottle. Well, first the shout out. Thank you very much, Robert and Lucas, for organizing this. Second shout out goes to Vortex. It's still a great team. We are a few old guys, now we get a few younger guys. I want to thank our main sponsor from Vortex, Joe Real Timing and Logical. You're great guys, you still support us, even if we are not always on the best on the track. Great. And regarding the bottle of milk, I actually have a glass of milk in front of me. I had to do it. It's great. It's great.
Well, take us away. Congratulations on winning the Classic INDYCAR Series.
I never thought it would happen today, actually.
Congratulations. And don't forget, you got a chance of winning it again next week.
I know, and I ride with VR, and it's, I don't know, 4 hours now in. I don't know, 3.5 hours in. I think VR is not made for endurance, not yet. No. And my girlfriend told me that I really started to smell. So, yes.
That's the sense of victory.
Yeah, that's true. I will, yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
I tell you one thing, Cisco, what I love is hearing the driver who wins the Indy 500, because even though they don't necessarily realize it, their voice, their pitch, their cadence, it's so different from being the driver who wins compared to the driver that comes home in second.
It absolutely is the case, Will, and there are very few crown jewels in motorsport. This, maybe the Daytona 500, Monaco, Le Mans, and maybe Daytona 24. This is one of those moments. This is one of the big three, Will, and to win that race means so much.
Well, the driver who comes home with second place, Lucas Laville. Gonna hand it over to you, Cisco, because this is gonna be a tough interview here.
And Lucas, it didn't end the way you wanted. You guys were fighting for it at the end of the race. What happened?
Well, tough moment, right? First, apologies to John. I really thought I had more room, but obviously I had none. And I Takuma Sato it. Though this time I was Sato and not Dario at the end of it, so apologies for this finish. Not really what I wanted. I was really lucky to be there at the end, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to be fighting with the two best cars of the race after such a tough one. But here I was, and that's the only one I could. That's the only move I could make. That's the only hole I could find with the 10 to go and going to the finish. So I had to try it. I could have handled it better, that's for sure, but it is what it is. And yeah, I'm not very proud of that second place, but yeah, I don't really know what to say.
And, you know, you're in that pack of three with 10 to go, and we are talking about the Indy 500. Describe kind of the intensity that you were feeling in the car at that point, racing with the two leaders, with Tristan and with John there at the end. What was, you know, what's the mindset as a driver? I know you said you were trying to find any hole you could find. Was that what you were trying to do there?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know I had like the slowest car of the three, so I had to take any opportunity I had. So I was like, had to be very focused, like from 20 to go to the end. Hit my marks perfectly all the time, every time, just to stay in the draft and wait for them to fight and then take the opportunity I get, and that's what I try to do.
Well, whether you want it or not, you still got on the podium here at Indy. A good points day, whether you want it or not. I know you wanted that victory, but sponsors, shout out to it's a done for you and 10 team.
4 wins in a row would have been great, that's for sure. So first of all, big shout out to Robert for all the work he's putting into, especially this week and these past 2 weeks for Indy. That's been really tough, and he's been a great leader for this league, and I'm really proud to be working with him. Then to you guys for broadcasting this event, and I can't wait to watch it from another perspective. And then big shout out to every driver who came out today. There was a really, really great race.
Well, that's Lucas Laville. Somber at the end of the race, Will, but when you lose the Indy 500 that closely, I mean, it's just unfortunate. So Lucas, Congratulations on the second place, and we'll see you next race in the season, or we might see you next week.
Next race. I'm seeing out next week, preparing for Le Mans.
There you go.
Wait, there's more racetracks in Indy?
Don't make me call Battelle.
Well, we're going to chat next to the driver of Robert Grosser. He stood by with Randy Chenoweth.
Robert, decent run for you today. Started 10th, finished 5th. How was that number 1 machine?
Well, it wasn't as fast as I had hoped for. There wasn't really anything I could do in the end, keeping up with the top 3 guys. So I was fighting for P4, and it was 5th in the end. A bit lucky, but yeah, I take that.
Well, the ups and downs of the field were both super exciting today, both watching the front guys battle it out over the course of all 500 miles. But I actually think some of the most exciting moments of this race happened in that mid-pack. You were consistently a part of that, oftentimes 3, 4, even at 1.5 wide. What was it like being in that section of the field where so many intense moments happened?
It was a little bit more exciting than I needed. Yeah, there was a lot of action as you described, and I had preferred to stay, let's say, in top 5 all the time, running smooth. But so after some of the restarts, I dropped back, ended up in the mid-pack, and then, yeah, as you said, I had a lot of action. It was very, very intense, very difficult to avoid possible collisions, and I think I was a little bit lucky.
Well, there's one more Indy 500 on tap in this month. Next week, we have the official iRacing Indy 500. Going back to the DW12, how are you feeling about that one?
Well, I don't have much love for this other car, so I will not race in the official Indy 500 next week. But I will cheer for my fellow Vortex teammates.
Well, he's showing support, Will, but he's not going to be there. But before we let Robert go, who'd you like to thank?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you guys, RaceSpotTV, for broadcasting the series, for a good partnership this season. But of course also our sponsor Logical and Joel Real Timing, who are supporting us a lot. Lucas for a lot of assistance here, the Vortex team for great support, Georg for driving the pace car today, and all the drivers. Actually, we were spot on, 33 drivers, nobody who did not qualify, but exactly 33, which was great, and was also the largest grid in Classic IndyCar Series history. So thanks to all the drivers who really made a great race. It was really a lot of entertainment.
All right, Will, back to you.
Well, thank you very much there to Robert Grosser. Next, we're going to talk to the driver, Randy Shoemaker. Well, Randy, biggest mover in the field here today, P4. Are you content?
Yes, I will be after it's done. I would have liked to have made the podium. I felt like I had a podium car, but I was never able to find a set. I've been out of iRacing for about 3.5 years and just got back in the past month and a half, and was so lucky to find Robert and Lucas's Classic IndyCar Series League. I loved this car whenever I raced before. Not comfortable in the DW12 when it came out. Again, with just 6 weeks under my belt, I was unable to find any of the setups that Matt Cook and I had developed in the past, and I just felt really lost and knew I could not run full fuel stints, and so it put me at quite a disadvantage. But very happy to finish the race. I did not think that that was going to be a possibility as it started.
You led a corner.
And that was a mistake. I might have been able to stay in second if I'd never tried to make that move.
But I mean, overall, you've had a fantastic Indy 500. Working in traffic is always one of the difficult things in Indy 500. And I've done so many of these. I know how these races work. How difficult was the traffic here today? Because at points I saw 4.5 wide.
Yes, sir. It was very difficult. I regretted at one point I short stopped and made 2 quick pit stops in a row and put me back, I think, from 3rd or 4th back to 17th. And it was predictable, and I knew what the top racers were going to do. It was very difficult to run up through the field at times. Everyone is talented and did well, but it was certainly different running in the back than it was up front.
Well, next time out, we're going to see you next round of Classic IndyCar Series. Texas is what bodes you next, but we're not going to show it to you, so you're going to have to tell me what your thoughts are going to be on Texas when you guys see it, even if we don't.
I'm looking forward to it. I love this. I love this IndyCar, this version. I was very comfortable at Texas in the past, so Robert and Lucas have just done a great job putting this together, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to?
I've got to thank my lovely wife. In America, today is Mother's Day, so taking this time away from her is difficult, and I just wanted to tell her how much I love her and thank her for this opportunity. And we're going to spend the rest of the evening together and have a great holiday.
Well, you enjoy your holiday. Randy Shoemate coming home. Number 4 here today. Shouts out to all the mothers and the wives in America here on Mother's Day as well. Randy Shoemate coming home in 4th place. Tim Miller is the other driver who we are going to talk to here this afternoon, and he comes home in P number 9, Cisco.
Hi, Tim. We barely talked to you all day. I mean, you started 25th, you finished 9th here. You were just kind of hanging out all day.
Whoa. I talked about him.
I talked about him too. I even said he was in the Telemundo car.
Yeah, did you like my helmet?
It was striking. We'll go with that. We'll say it was striking. But yeah, Tim, just kind of hanging out today. You were a part of some of that craziness racing in the mid-pack. How was it out there?
Well, it was wild. I haven't been able to race much, so I was very rested. The pit stops, the strategy was all bad. I was always in the back of that pack, but it was really intense. Really enjoyed racing with the guys, everybody. It got a little close a few times there, but it was great racing.
Absolutely. Is that an Oriole Servia helmet?
Yes, sir. Best I could do.
Thing is, he's in the number 2 machine, and in 2011, Oriole Servia drove the number 2 machine. You can put those 2 and 2 together there, Cisco.
Yes, I know, but I'm also noticing it says Servia on the side, so that kind of helps as well, Will. But Tim, we saw kind of the intensity rise as the race went on, but lap 150, you guys were going crazy out there. Was it just everyone was stuck together, or was the go time at that point, or what was the driver's minds at for that?
Well, the one point I remember is when TM was behind me for some reason, and he came up through, got by me easy, and then he disappeared and went on to win, so congrats to him. Other than that, I don't know. One time I was in the back of somebody, I thought, but I was afraid to ask if I still had a front wing or not.
Well, you did, and you managed to bring it home 9th, Tim. But sponsor shout-outs, who gets it done for you?
Well, I want to thank, as always, Chicago's Pizza, and I do want to thank, all the sponsors of this event, and you guys at RaceSpot, excellent job as always, and especially to Robert. I'll tell you, he invited me at last minute to this thing since I haven't been racing, and all the work he puts into it, I just thank him so much for that. And then Lucas does a lot also.
Well, that's Tim Miller. He finishes 9th here, Will.
He does, and I will say one thing. Tim Miller, one of the classiest guys I've ever seen in an Indy car. And you don't always see him at the front of the field, but I tell you one thing, always puts on a good show no matter where he finishes. Coming home P9th here today, Michael Gerlicher comes home just ahead of him in P number 6, Randy.
Yeah, Michael coming away with a good 6th place finish here today. Started 13th, up 7 spots. How was that number 57 today?
She was running really well. Kind of stumbled into a setup right at the tail end of warm-up this morning, and went with it for the race, and it worked out really well for me.
Now, how were some of those intense moments that happened in the mid-pack for you? I know where you were running, you were occasionally a part of them. How were some of those hectic 3, 4, 5 wide moments that we saw in the restarts?
Man, that's some of the biggest crowds I've been in on a big oval like this, and boy, they do get tense, don't they? If I saw it forming, it's like, okay, trying to make that last-minute decision. Do you stick with it? Do you get out of the way? What do you do? It was tough.
Next race for this championship, we're going out to Texas. How are you feeling about the 1.5 miler?
It'll be my first time there, so it's that one's going to all be new for me. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Michael, who helped you out, got it done for you today? Who'd you like to shout out? Who'd you like to thank?
Everybody in this crew gets a huge thanks. Robert, Lucas for putting this thing together. Logical for sponsoring us. You guys for broadcasting. It's all spectacular. Thank you all very much.
Back to you, Will.
Yep, and I will say one thing as well, that all the drivers, congratulations to them for what has been actually a very good race for us to watch here today. We want to give a shout out very quickly to the partners here of the Classic IndyCar Series. First of all, to Joel Real Timing, official partner of the Classic IndyCar Series, and also to Logical Innovative Engineering, the title sponsor of the Classic IndyCar Series. Logical offers professional solutions to satisfy the needs of virtual sim racers, and it's for that reason they have developed, with the help of a passionate professional team, several tools that easily adapt to the sim racer themselves, to their way of driving, reacting and feeling the race car, because they intend for you to sense every lap, every acceleration, every turn, not just to imagine, but to really experience it as you're in a real car. And also, we'd like to give a shout out to And1 Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpotTV, ATVO, the official graphics engine of RaceSpotTV, and Ismail Balau's track cams for gourmets. Time to wrap it up then, Cisco. This race, it's been fun.
Yeah, it absolutely has, Will, and we're looking forward. The month of May continues, but a great race here for CIS, and we can't wait to see him again as well.
Randy?
CIS has been fantastic. That's been two. I know it's confusing, Randy. There's two Randys. I'm not used to it either. But that's 2 of our Indy 500s down for RaceSpot. We had the fastest Indy 500 last week. We had an arguably more exciting one this week. And then next week is always the one I always look forward to. New names come out of the woodwork. Some people who you don't normally see in these open wheel Indy cars end up here at Indianapolis to fight it out. Martin Kroenke thinking about coming out. Ray Alfala is also someone who traditionally makes the show. It'll be interesting to see what happens in next week's running.
Well, that's all we've got time for then in the Classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500, presented by Logical Innovative Engineering. From the entire team here at RaceSpotTV, Ivan Ward Vincent, thank you so much for watching our broadcast. Don't forget, the iRacing Indy 500, the 8th edition, next Saturday. But for now, we hope you enjoyed the show, and good night.
Thank you, Will. Great job, guys. Thank you. Love you.